Ladies and gentlemen, live from London, it's 3DS Meetup TV.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to 3DS Meetup November edition. If we could all give a big thank you to our sponsors, Autodesk Media and Entertainment, Sinai Software, V-Ray Chaos Group, Bluegfx, Yellow Dog, Vendor Equipment, and CG Press. Tonight we are bringing on a guest host to help us get through the evening, and I'm pleased to welcome on board Olga Banaszyk. Hello, Olga. I should have asked how to pronounce your name before we went live. Sorry.
Hello, hi. Yeah, that was close enough.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Olga is Senior of Culture Development at Hayes Davidson. Can you tell us a little bit about what that involves?
Yeah, sure. So most of all, I'm an artist at Hayes Davidson, and I also have a senior
people are
role.
saying that there is no video on the feed, and I'm looking at the...
Yeah, it's all black.
Okay, now there is video.
Ah,
all right,
here
sorry.
we go.
It's back.
Thanks for interrupting. The feed is 30 seconds slower than where we are.
No, it was black on the front.
Good night, guys!
Right, so we've lasted about...
So I knew it would all go wrong as soon as I saw Fabio wasn't wearing his hat tonight. I was like, oh my God, Fabio's not got the hat on. It's all going to go wrong tonight.
Oh, fantastic. And now Nigel's turned into the Emperor from Star Wars.
It was my fault.
So anyway, Olga, so great to have you on the show tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it. So answering your question, I'm an artist at Hayes Davidson, and I also hold a senior position of culture development, and that means I'm involved in a lot of different things at the studio, such as our yearly summer placement, our yearly HD 5K charity run that we do in Hyde Park, with this year being obviously different because everything is more remote, which I can touch on later on, and also being involved in organizing studio culture events such as like outings to galleries, and also all of our parties when we used to be fun before everything was shut down in UK, but we keep it up, doing a lot of stuff remotely. We have remote quizzes, remote drinks and such, which obviously was challenging to figure out how we're all going to do that because of being in different places all over UK. So that was something that hopefully we managed quite well. So yeah, so that kind of sums it up. So I'm involved in like charitable events and educational events such as the summer placement I mentioned before. So it's kind of a broader role within our studio.
Wow, that's amazing. That's it sounds like a lot. Sounds like you're very busy. And you used to work at Foster & Partners as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. That was actually my first job when I came to UK. I got an artist assistant job at Foster & Partners. And then within a few years, I was promoted to associate artist and was managing some of the projects, for example, Apple stores, and worked with a lot of super talented artists, and had the pleasure to work with Narinder as well, who is like super talented. I'm sure most of the people know of him, and so some of his work as well. So yeah, I've been quite lucky with my career so far in UK.
I think you're in an interesting position where you can comment about both working in-house for such a prominent architect, and then also working as an artist for a business that provides services to that same architect. So you have an experience both working in-house and also out of house as well. If you'd like to comment on any of that.
Yeah. So that's definitely two different perspectives, and that involves like there's obviously pros and cons to both. But yeah, it's a kind of a different experience being in-house as a part of the support team to architects, which involves probably like more being like closer within the design process and doing a lot of iterations of the project. So there is a bit of a different approach to some of the stuff, but it's like not that much of a difference. And obviously, yeah, like still working with Foster sometimes at Hayes Davidson now, which is quite funny in a way, being on both sides of this chain. So yeah, so definitely different experiences, both really useful, and I definitely learned a lot from both of those.
Great, thank you. So with us tonight also we have our usual crowd. My co-hosts include Fabrice and Nigel, who I'm sure you are both who are both familiar to you. Ioanna unfortunately cannot join us tonight, but I hope that she'll be watching, or if not, giving us a like later on in the future. And we also on our panel have Nikos.
Ioanna's in the YouTube comments.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
So she's just
finally.
Thank you,
Ioanna. We missed you.
So we also have Nikos Nikolopoulos. Thank you.
Hello.
And Simon Moir, Tom Spall, Fabio Palvelli, and Jason Bergeron.
Tonight I'm an inspirer. Thank you, Nigel, for the new title.
Well, I didn't give you that. Oh, you mean on the website?
What title?
I saw it. It's in the description of the video. Well, you said you're not an influencer anymore. But I think let's ask our in the comments whether or not Fabio is an influencer. Come on, let's get some comments through.
Yeah, what would you call Fabio if you could call him something?
If you could,
it's all open right now. Just go ahead and say
mover
it.
and shaker.
Can we keep it clean, please?
Well, we'll
Like
pick
the troll.
at the end of tonight. We will pick what we're going to call him for next time.
I will print that on a T-shirt. Okay.
The Joe Rogan of Archviz.
When are you getting your swimsuit edition out, Fabio?
A what?
Your Borat swimsuit.
Oh, right. God damn it! I thought that the internet
never forgets.
Listen, I'm gonna start doing push-ups.
So, all right, I'm going to move on into the news then on that bombshell.
Nice segue.
So, Nigel, so would you like to tell us a little bit about Autodesk University, which is coming up on the 17th to 20th of November, which is free for everyone. If you haven't signed up in preparation of the AU this year, obviously, normally you would have to fly to Las Vegas, but this year they're bringing it to you online. And I understand that over 70,000 people have already signed up to be part of this. There are 45 classes and over 24 hours of presentations.
Well, I don't know about the presentations, but there's 750 presentations. They're all on demand. You'll find a talk from me, and you also find one from Hayes Davidson, which I encourage everyone to tune into. From the 17th, they'll be available. You do need to register to access all the content. Plus, there's other workshops. There's a lot of offline stuff as well, meetups and things. So, yeah, go and check it out. You'll see on screen on the news. I've tried to be fancy. We've got QR codes for all of these. So just get your smartphone and scan that, and that'll take you straight to the website.
And Nigel, you're talking about Europe's largest regeneration project. Can you give us a little bit of a taster on that? What is Europe's largest regeneration project, or is it secret?
If you have copy and paste pasted all the news, as I can hear that you've done. That's going to be very interesting. I've got 60 minutes to talk about 30 years of work. So it took me a month to put together the presentation. It covers everything from right back in the 90s. It starts off with being influenced by Hayes Davidson in the very, very early 90s, and how most of us, if you've worked in visualization, have actually grown up through the ranks of studios and other studios. So I touch on that, go through the 90s, go through the 2000s, into larger master plan projects, and finish off talking about producing an enormous, well, Wembley Park, which is a 85-acre property in London, and how we brought that into Unity.
Right, and Olga, can you tell us anything about what Hayes Davidson is talking about?
Yeah, so it's actually my colleague, Ciro Cardozo. He is going to be talking about the materials that he had this like really cool project that he produced 365 materials in a year using Arnold and OSL shader. So it's pretty cool. He explains how it all works, what to look out for, and then he also has got a Q&A session when he's going to go into more detail about how to produce realistic materials with Arnold rendering engine.
Great. Fantastic. Is Arnold a popular thing at Hayes Davidson?
It's something that we're exploring at the minute. So we use both Corona and V-Ray, and exploring all different like innovations and different innovative like approaches to how we can create a beautiful image.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so moving on, the 3ds London is happy to announce that we are supporting the State of Art Academy this year as community sponsors. I don't yet know what that means, what we have to do, or what we have to do for that. And the SOA is on the 3rd and 4th of December this month, and is an online event. And following that, I think Jason...
Well, can I just touch on that, Josh?
Oh, please do, yeah.
So really our role in supporting State of Art Academy is to really just encourage that our 3ds London community sign up and get involved. They are looking for speakers.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we're all about sharing and caring as they are. And of course, where they've come from initially, they have been hit quite hard with coronavirus, and I know we're not allowed to talk about that, but Jean-Pierre and the team have had family affected, and this really is a just coming together. We all missed in October actually going to Venice and State of Art Academy, so that again, like everybody else, are trying to do something online. So we're trying to encourage our community to follow and get involved, which leads, I guess, on to Jason and Fabio.
This won't turn off, look.
Jason and Fabio, your December event, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Look, this won't turn off.
Okay,
the holiday spectacular.
Yeah, we're not going to share a lot. We're working on it. It's going to be a 3-day event, 2 hours per evening. And it's going to be sort of like a way for us to celebrate the holidays before everyone leaves for...
Or stays home.
Whatever.
The beach.
They leave
before everybody
internet.
locks their door.
Yeah, they move from the office to the couch. And we're going to do an event of 3 days. I think it's going to be the 9th, 10th, and 11th, right, Jason?
I'm looking right now.
That is correct.
Correct.
Of
yes.
December, yes. And it's going to be 2 hours per day. We're working on the lineup. We're working on the extra activities that we would like to bring. If you guys have any suggestions, feel free to get in touch. We're open at this time to discuss possibilities. Maybe another thing that we would like to give a small shout out to is the competitions that we started again. They're now not on my channel anymore, but they are on the D2 conference channel. We've been doing one together with Mike Golden last week. It was a super success. There were around 192 entries, and I think 156 single participants. It was an amazing competition, and we had like thousands of people watching these shows.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I wish I could show some of the images. They're amazing. It was if you don't know what it was based on the Hugh Ferris and Hugh Ferris's illustrations that he did. Mike Golden is a huge fan of Hugh Ferris, and he wanted to do this for his challenge. Yeah, it was amazing to just see so many black and white images with very dramatic lighting. If you want to check them out, the top 25 are on our on the D2 community Facebook group. So just type in D2 community on Facebook, you'll find it. And there's a gallery in there, which I just put up today. So yeah, go check it out if you want to see. And the next one's coming on Friday. We're going to have another announcement for the next challenge for next month, for this month.
The work has been amazing. Again, just when we think it can't get any better, you guys pull this one out. It's just been incredible.
I've always wondered what Hugh Ferris would do with a copy of 3D Max. I think it would be quite exciting.
Well, you can see now, maybe.
Well, you know, to me, it was pleasant to actually see that people put a lot of thought into understanding what Hugh Ferris was about, and they did not just make images and then turn the saturation down in Photoshop.
Well, some people did.
Some people did,
but they're not in the top 25. So.
In your introduction video on that, you did ask people to explore things other than black and white. Did you have many entries that listened to that instruction, or was everyone? I saw a couple.
There were a couple, I guess. I mean, I think in the end, people really gravitated toward that, and they seemed to think that it was to say that it was a lot of fun to work in black and white, and just to really worry about the values that you had, the lighting values. And honestly, when I sat down to look through the images to pick my top 10 that we submit, you know, to combine the images together from all of us judges, I really was looking for things that made me think of Hugh Ferris like immediately. And so I did a lot of the things that were like separate topics, but just using the lighting techniques, then I actually was not as drawn to those. But we like people to not, you know, to break the rules a little bit. They don't have to stick to any specific thing, but somehow the ones that were architectural were much more successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they're amazing. They really are. And you know what? I think the first challenge you did was the car, the Zero, the concept car. And it was Nuno did a comic strip, didn't he? And this has come up again, and I know you addressed that in your presentation last week.
Josh, jumping in.
I thought it was worth bringing up because I think there's something about having a story and a narrative that really makes this kind of images work, and a lot of people forget that. Nigel, now you can jump in.
I just need to finish off the news.
All right, okay. Yeah, back to the news. So, right. So, CP Architect Awards have been announced. Tentative nominations are through, and again, the UK has done really well in nominations. Obviously, until we see what the finals are next week. But a big congratulations to Henry Koo, Interstudio, Pedro, Minmud, my own team, and Raza Joad and Sebastian Chu in the student category. The only other thing that I was going to have in the news is about the CG Architect survey on the effects of COVID in the industry. And Jeff has stated that the preliminary results are telling us that 24% of people have been affected by mental health since the beginning of COVID in March, which is quite a lot I think, and I think it's not just the architectural business, but all businesses, and you know, everyone in society, our friends and family, and everything that is being affected by this. So, I guess the message is to, you know, reach out to people and to consider this, and you know, think about others you know, who maybe you haven't heard from, or you're working with, or your friends. And also, if you know, people could go online and fill in that survey on the CG Architect website as well.
Cool. Can I do 2 more news pieces?
Go ahead, Nigel. As long as you're quick.
From our sponsors. So first one is Expo. So Bluegfx, one of our regular sponsors, key sponsors, is having an expo on the 17th of November. It's online, it's free. Again, there's the QR code, go check it out. And finally, I just want to say that the 24 hours of chaos that we were involved in, the videos have finally been published today. So it's taken 2 months of editing and refining, but go to the QR code, go to the website now. They've all been published, all 10 of them. There's 24 hours of content there to watch. I'm sure all our audience don't have anything else online that they're interested in right now. And that would be a much, much welcome distraction. Go and spend 24 hours recapping what we did earlier in September. There's some really good talks. And of course, Nikos, you talked, didn't you, on show 10? You were the host on show 10 as well.
Yes, actually, yes. And I really enjoyed it, to be honest. I really want to see it again as well. I haven't seen it, so yeah.
Well, there you go. The QR code's up there. Go check it out. It was live, went live about 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Where's the QR code?
If you look on the screen.
It's on YouTube, Simon.
It's also there on the as one of the participants.
It's basically go to Chaos Group's YouTube channel.
Right, I'm going to do it now. Where's my phone?
I'll do it. Okay, let's get everyone watching. If you get your phone out, if you turn on QR reader and hit that up.
So you're just going to send all of the people.
There you
watching
go.
right
Everyone's
now.
going to leave us. That we'll watch our viewing figures. See if we can get it down to 0, please.
Maybe they'll watch both things at the same time.
Well, you know, we're on both, so we're doesn't matter. Right.
Maybe put an actual old-fashioned link in the comments too. Then we can.
Well, people of Simon's generation,
right?
No, I've got my phone and I've just QR'd it. Thanks very much.
So hipster right now. And that is it for the news from our sponsors and what's going on. Right, Josh, carry on.
So jobs, I believe, is next. Has anyone got a job? Or more relevantly, has anyone got a job to offer to anyone?
Foster and Partners are looking for people at the moment.
Sorry, that was me. I'm watching the Chaos Group. I'm watching the Chaos stuff now.
He's watching it.
So Simon can use a QR code, but he can't turn the volume off on YouTube.
No, I'm not that smart. I'm seeing if my spaghetti bolognese is in there, Fabio.
I think someone said Wire Collective is also looking for artists. Is that correct? I don't know if anyone from Wire Collective is listening. I know also that VRPM is looking for 3D artists to work remotely. Then they've made a big point of saying that they've been hiring people since the beginning of lockdown. So if you're interested in that, then get in touch with myself or VRPM directly. Is there any other news or jobs or anything that anybody else would like to say?
Yeah, I would like to share a little announcement that Ciro, the colleague that is going to be talking at Autodesk University, and myself, we are working on launching a podcast on architectural visualization and wider topic of art creation that we are planning to launch very soon, sometime in the new year. So watch this space. We will be sharing more information soon about what it's going to be, how you can listen to it, and what guests we're going to have. So it should be very exciting.
So Olga, are you going into competition with Fabio?
No, definitely not. I think it's going to be a complementary thing to what Fabio's doing.
Okay, if you need any help, just let me know. All right.
Great, thank you
No
so much.
competition.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Look forward to. And when in January?
Sometime beginning next year. We don't have any specific date, but when we do polish out all the details, we'll be sharing more information.
Great. Well, we all look forward to supporting you.
Great,
Actually,
thank you.
if you need help from me, keep me away from your podcast.
I wrote her a message already. No, I'm just...
Great, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
I'm not keeping away.
Cool. Right.
Looking forward to it.
Panel chat, panel discussion. How are we doing for time, Josh?
I don't know. It's 7:26. I think we're okay. We've got a few minutes if anyone wants to talk about how they had a haircut today.
Well, let's talk about Simon's haircut. Let's get that audience reaction.
Hey, I love it.
Profile. Look at that.
Hold that. Hang on. I'm going to go full. I'm going to go speaker view. Let's get you. Not me.
You have to talk at the same time as turning your head. I can do it as well.
I think Josh's barber was more trendy than mine. It's very good though. But yeah, 4 weeks. So I'm not going to get my hair cut for a long time. Feels good.
Well
done.
I did say last time that if I'd known the lockdown was going to be so long, I would have had 2 haircuts. So
well, last month it was slightly odd because it may have sounded like I was slightly obsessed with Nigel's hair. If you weren't in the, if you were just watching on YouTube, but I just thought his hair looked really good last month, and I made a few comments, but then I realised it sounded a bit creepy because it was slightly out of context unless you'd heard it before. But I'm glad he didn't get it cut. It's still looking fantastic this month, so it's all good.
What are you talking about?
Your hair, buddy.
I got my hair cut.
I know. Well, it doesn't. Well, you got it cut extremely well.
It doesn't look it. That's the worst insult you could give him.
You mean it's white? That's like.
Well, it is good. I don't know. You're fishing for compliments now. Well, there we go. We can always do the hoodie thing.
I'll do the hoodie thing. Right.
Remove the hoodie.
We should pick out the worst haircut in the speaker. Who's got the worst haircut?
In 4 weeks, you want to pick out the worst haircut.
I think that will be all of us, no?
Next month.
Possibly.
Well, I think I may have had the last available slot for a barber today.
Oh, you went to a barber? I thought you went to a gardener.
Yeah, he used the lawnmower. You grow it, we mow it.
Can I just jump in? Can we sort of introduce or say, have our guests sort of have a bit of a chat, tell our audience a little bit more about themselves or what they're up to? I know that the guys from Setchy Smith, you're in the middle of a big move at the moment, aren't you?
Hello, sorry, just unmuting ourselves. Yeah, we so we had come back to the office, making sure that everything's all socially distanced. But yeah, with a few other guys commuting, it doesn't make sense for them to be coming in. It's not responsible. So yeah, we've got a few guys moving back. So we're doing. Everyone else has probably found the issues of trying to either remote desktop or VPNs, whatever it is. We're trying to find the most streamlined, process. I don't know if anyone else has got these issues or.
Yeah, I think we all have. I think it's safe to say it's always a bit of a nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've gone with the sort of down the route of step workstation locally, take it home with you. It's a hefty machine to take with, but a taxi ride can take you there.
How do you deal with the problem of synchronizing all your files together when you're working on the same project with people?
Yeah, that's been our biggest task, I think, because all our stuff is through Synology. So we work on a cloud station. So it's more just in terms of the time to download for the guys. So obviously,
their Synology drive is pretty good, I think, though, for doing that.
Say that again, sorry, missed that.
Their Synology drive system is pretty good for doing that. I've tried.
Yeah. I think
the problem is when you're trying to open a file or something and you accidentally click on a big file that hasn't been downloaded, everything freezes while it downloads, which is a little bit annoying when you've got a deadline.
No, that's the thing. And then our asset sharing as well. So obviously relinking textures and all that jazz. It's, yeah, we found that in lockdown 1 was our biggest problem.
Oh, lockdown 1, that's a good phrase. So now we're in lockdown 2.
It's lockdown
LD1
now, isn't it?
But I mean, I would agree. I mean, the biggest problem I've had over the last 7 months is, well, firstly, lack of talent.
Number one or number two?
Your lack of talent.
Yeah, my lack of talent. And then I suppose after that would be my internet connection, which is just appalling. And so the computers on both sides of the internet connection are good. It's just the internet connection has made it really painful. But now I'm getting used to it. And the few times I went into the office over summer, first I was amazed how big my screen was, that I had just forgotten how good it was. And also I was amazed that when I moved my mouse, the cursor moved immediately, not like 0.2 of a second afterwards as well. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of hoping that we're not going to do too much of this lockdown nonsense next year. I mean, I don't know what will happen, but it would be great to get back to full speed and just knowing that your tools are going to work.
Get back to work, so they say, Simon. Would it really be good to get back to work?
Well, I mean, I think at the moment that, I mean, it's just an extra level of pressure, isn't it? Though it's like the job is enjoyable and I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it can be difficult sometimes with deadlines. But to layer on top of that nonsense with computers, and it just makes it a bit painful. Anyway, sounds like I'm whinging incredibly. I'm sure.
Yeah, you are, and you were saying just before, let's not be all doom and gloom and talk about COVID and all.
I'm just going to say that my plan has definitely been
it's like, oh, my mouse is a bit slow.
I tell you what, it's very slow. I mean, I've got a love-hate relationship with my mouse. But, yeah.
I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm not going to go there.
I've got a question from the comments on YouTube. If we could put the name of the companies employing in the comments.
Yes, okay, I'll do that. Absolutely. So moving on then, it gives me a lot of pleasure tonight to introduce our first guest, who is a panelist, a regular panelist with us, and someone that you probably are now quite used to having a drink with, Nikos. Nikos, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. I learned so much the last month looking at other people presenting, so it's good for me to be here and share my knowledge to the community. I can see we have amazing people here today, so thank you all for coming and welcome to the show. So can I share my screen?
Yeah,
I can. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about cinematic styling in Archviz. My last topic at 3DS was earlier this year, and I talked about image composition. So I would like to do something different today. I don't know why my full screen is not starting. Give me a second. Okay, so cinematic styling on Archviz. It's something that I'm really interested in. It's about the magic of light and the power of color. So let's do, guys. We have 20 minutes to be inspired and learn something new. This is the scene I'm going to demonstrate. I want to show you how to change the lighting mood of your scenes with one single render. And I'm going to show you how, by changing the intensity and color, you can create the morning light or the evening light or the sunset and get it more emotional by color, which is my favorite topic. This project I'm going to demonstrate is actually an apartment inside the theater. This is the National Theater in Greece, and we develop this apartment to demonstrate the creative lighting philosophy on our students. And today I'm going to focus on this area, the bedroom. So let's talk about the composition and then talk about the lighting and the color. This is the golden spiral. I'm using a very cinematic wide 239 aspect ratio. Don't forget my advice that I'm always saying when it comes to composition, experiment with the aspect ratio, the lens, the depth of field, the focus of the image, and don't forget that the space needs focus and the image needs depth. So to get the depth, I'm going to use the golden spiral. As you can see, the spiral starts from one corner and draws your eye entirely into the image. Along the spline, I have light. You know, light is my friend. I would like to use it in my power to celebrate the moment. And there is light here, and then ends with a light. And this is called practical. I will tell you more about this. I also have volumetrics in my scene to make it a bit more theatrical. When I'm making an image, I'm always having a field in my mind. So the image starts in your mind, but you need to look for references to develop the idea further. As you can see here, Roger Dickens is my master and my great hero, and I'm always getting inspired by his work. So before I start making the light of the scene, I was looking to find a film to inspire me. And the way he was using the blast of sunlight and the smoke to make the light diffuse, it was very inspiring to me. And you can see the warm, practical lighting and how it's affecting the mood of the scene. That's why I create so many practicals in my scene, so I can change the mood as well. If you don't know what I'm talking about practical lighting, I can let you know what it is. Any model in your scene that emits light and it's visible in the camera, it's called practical. I love to use practicals in my scene. So the television is a practical. The lamp, everything that emits light is actually a practical. So that's something I'm getting inspired by cinema and I'm always doing in my scenes. And guys, don't forget, the composition, always look for triangles. One triangle here, one triangle here, another one here. So basically the practicals are part of the composition. They're gonna give you depth, they're gonna help you to change the mood, and they're gonna make your image more dynamic. So don't be afraid to bring lights in the scene. It doesn't matter if it's a daylight, turn the sources on. And now you can see my morning light with my practicals on. You can see even here the reflection of the practical and how I'm supporting my golden spiral to tell my story. And where it ends, yes, there is light. So this is my daylight, the morning light, again, inspired by cinema, a lot of practicals, because I want to make this a more cinematic look. Let's try and change the feeling with a single render. And now you have the evening light. There's no direct light, but you can see how the plate, I'm getting the colors from the environment back into the space. This beautiful blue, the sun is not visible, but the sky is very colorful. It's getting close to the blue hour. And now with the power of practicals, I can create the mood in the scene. And don't forget, I'm only changing my intensity and my color. This is the power of storytelling and the power of light mix that we have these days with Corona and Vire. Let's continue the story now and change this into something else. I'm going to get inspired from my own studio. I'm going to use gobo lighting. When I see these patterns in my space, I get inspired. This is actually me taking a photo when the light comes into the space. For me, it's your responsibility to stay inspired. So even when you work, look for references. You look around you, study the light and the shadows that comes into the space. So gobo lighting for lighting designers, it's actually a pattern, a real physical pattern that comes in front of the light to shape it. So lighting designers, they're shaping the light to create patterns in the stage of the theater. For example, to create patterns of leaves in the theater. They're going to use this template, which is called gobo, in front of the light. In 3D, all you have to do is get this inspiration and create a black and white map, which is called gobo, and use it in standard max lights to create patterns in space with no geometry. So I love this kind of techniques. I get inspired by this, I create the image, and now I can create the feeling of sunset with my own map, which is the gobo, and give you the illusion that behind me, there is windows. In reality, as I show you, I'm inside the theater. So I'm being creative here, and I'm trying to innovate my workflow and get to the next level. So as you can see, with just a single map, I can give you the feeling of sunset. It's all about balancing cold and warm. Again, this is my map. This is my inspiration. Looking for light daily. It's part of my creative process as an artist. And now that I have the sunset feeling, again, I'm inside the theater, I can actually change the mood again and make it night. You see? It's all about changing intensity and color. But let's be honest, without an idea in your mind, you're not going to succeed. So before start making, have an idea and be clear on what are you trying to achieve. So I'm always looking for references again and having ideas about the feeling and the mood that I want to create. Let's change this now into something else. Back to the sunset, but this time I'm getting the sunset coming from these windows and I'm using an HDRI. The reason I'm giving you all these ideas is that first is the concept that you have in mind, and then it's the workflow. It doesn't matter if you're going to use the Corona Silent Sky, HDRI, or just your own custom maps as gobos, but guys, It's all about the feeling on the image. It's all about celebrating the design and supporting your composition. As you can see again, everything around the spiral, there is something beautiful. There is a good moment. And where it ends, it's the fireplace, something warm and safe. If I'm going to go deep now, experimenting different compositions inside my theatrical apartment, you see, be brave enough to change the aspect ratio. Here you have the iPhone format, 0.75, a different, completely different story, different feeling. And this is the HDRI sunset moment. And here we're back to the 239, more cinematic. I'm guessing you know what this is, right? This is another custom map that I create to create the feeling of sunset in space without having geometry of windows behind me. It's something cool that I do. If you never try this technique, please try it and send me the images. We'll have a chat about the feeling and the mood that you're trying to achieve. Again, gobo, night, I'm shaping the light of the space like lighting designers in theater to create the specific feeling. And here, it's night again, but I have a strong direct light coming into my space. I love storytelling, and I will do anything in my power to create something beautiful and exciting, all by changing the intensity and color. Let me open the software and show you how easy and creative it is. This is my file. This is light mix in Corona. And as you can see, my palette is white. I mean, you can see the color of the fire, it's warm, but basically all my practicals, they have no color. Let's see what is going to happen when I'm going to load the color. And I'm going to use Kelvin because I'm trying to make it commercial before I go crazy with my RGB values and make it more cinematic. So I'm going to load. The feeling is different. Now you have cold and warm fighting. You see, my skylight is getting bluer and my direct light is getting warmer. I can even turn it on and off. You can even see the sources of my light, bring the skylight, bring the direct light, and now you have the morning light. And as you can see here now, I have color in the lights, which basically I can do whatever I want. This is the creative freedom I was looking for with the light mix that finally is out. Again, this is all Kelvin. You can see my highlights. Doesn't matter if it's a daylight, bring highlights in space. The image needs those highlights. And I will show you later on the evening light exactly why I need them. Now I'm going to load, and I want you to look on the color palette. And don't forget, guys, name your lights so you know what you're doing, and keep the light mix. It's a very sensitive thing, so keep it on a low number. Sometimes my clients give me images and they say, Nikos, why it's so noisy? And I'm asking them, can you screenshot your light mix file? And they have like 20 in the light mix. No, it's designed to go 5 times up, let's say, not 20. If you have to use 20, please update the value on the scene and keep these numbers in a very reasonable, like 5 is more than enough for me. So now that I have this perfectly named, let's make it evening. So I'm just going to load the evening, and you can feel that the feeling is different. One of my favorite photographers, Alex Webb, New York based, he said once that color is all about emotional of the space and the feeling of the place. And that's what color can do for you. It can create an emotional moment, and it's so simple, but you need to have something in your mind. So now I'm using something a lot more different than before to get the right color from the plate inside the space, as you can see now. So I bring the environment light inside the space. And do you want to see my highlights? You need them. Again, the space needs depth, the image needs focus and highlights. I want to give you the illusion that this light is emitting those highlights, and this light here, and this light here. So I'm actually painting the highlights to create my story. This is what cinema is teaching me. Don't forget, in 2014, I spent 1 year with Damian Fennell from Cityscape studying cinema and analyzing the work of Roger Deakins before we both developed the creative lighting philosophy and make it a brand a year later. So cinema is very close to us as a philosophy. Now let's do the gobo. You see, I have the feeling of sunset. There's no geometry, there's nothing behind me, but you feel that there's windows. Check the gobo, guys. Painting feelings. I love painting through light mix, and that's why I really wanted to share this workflow with you, and I can't wait to get your feedback at the end. So as you can see now, I'm using my own light to create a feeling of sunset. I can even change this now and make it night. As you can see, the idea is to change the intensity and color, nothing else. Of course, to create this kind of setup, you need to be smart enough to create the layers the way you want, to give you freedom to change the intensity and the color. But you can see this is the reflection of the practical. I don't know, for me, it's very cinematic. There is beautiful moments that are happening around the scene, beautiful highlights. And again, you see that I need this layer so I can paint the highlights that I need in the scene. It's a very creative workflow. If you haven't tried, please do it. And now let's go bring also, again, the other feeling, which is the golden hour. I don't know what happened here. He didn't like it. Oh, sorry, I loaded something wrong. So now, again, we're still in the sunset feeling moment, the golden hour, one of my favorite times of day. I like it when it's so warm, the light, and it's so soft, the shadows. And you can see that now I'm just using the HDRI. So guys, it's not about what kind of technique you're going to use. It's all about what kind of moment you want to create to celebrate your design or celebrate your story. And don't forget that composition is also very important. When you're designing and when you're composing, think about the guides. If you have a chance to break the rules, yes, do it. That's why we have rules, so we can break them and learn. So again, golden spiral, cinematic wide format, and I'm trying to be emotional by playing with the intensity and the color. The next I want to do is to do something different, something I never tried before. It's again something I'm looking as a research at the moment, is to actually keep the lighting the same, but this time I'm going to change the color in the objects and try to create a very cinematic styling. Let's do it. I'm going to do this. So this is all about changing the color in the lights. The next one is going to be about getting creative with color. This is a small preview of my research about cinematic styling. I'm doing this research for my masterclass that's happening for 2 years now in a row, every month. And I want to bring this to my members and give them new ideas and workflows. I'm going to start with Ratchet, this amazing masterpiece by Ryan Murphy. It's on Netflix. I haven't seen anything like that. This is the best thing I've seen this year. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. It's an excellent use of color. When I start seeing this episode, I get so amazed by the costumes and the makeup and the styling. I think it's the next step. And that's inspired me because I really want to analyze this and I want to bring these techniques and ideas into Archviz because it's possible these days. But first you have to understand something and then you need to find a way to translate the inspiration into knowledge. That was my goal. This is something from the first episode. This is Sarah Paulson, the leading character. And she was going to have an interview to get a job at the hospital. When I saw her coming in, wearing this beautiful mustard yellow, oh my God, I almost jumped from my sofa. And I was like, I haven't seen anything like, I'm inspired. By wearing this yellow, I can feel the power. She was going on the interview and she was like, I'm going to nail it. I'm going to get the job. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. I'm going to get this job no matter what. And I can feel it by the color because that's the power of color. There is a different meaning for every single color. In this case, I believe that was her power. Yellow, very strong, very vibrant. Even the red lipstick, green and blue to support the composition. It's a very emotional and beautiful moment. The colors that they used in this film, it's mostly cold, like blues and greens. In different shades, you can see here an example how you can get this monochromatic palette, but with also an additional color, cold and warm. It's how it works. Different browns, again the yellow. The only red you will see, it's mostly on the lipsticks. You're not going to see any orange or any, what else? No orange or purple. So it's mostly cold colors. I have more examples. For me, this is amazing. Check the hierarchy, the leading nurse and the trainee nurse. They separate them by separating the shades of the color, something more light comparing to the leading nurse. So hierarchy is important for focus, for lighting, and for color. You don't want them to fight. So with this kind of hierarchy, I was inspired to start doing my own cinematic palettes, which I'm going to show you very soon. Guys, what is this? Look at the practicals. It's part of the composition. Look at the depth, the dynamic of the image with the practicals. It doesn't matter if it's a daylight. You have to use practicals. The more you have, the better. Again, with a vision in your mind. Don't just add them randomly. You need to add them for a reason. Find that reason. And then here, this navy blue, amazing. And then you have different shades of green in the bag, in the gloves, here in the neck. It's a masterpiece, guys. I was so inspired. Next day, I did something else. I started creating a style and workflows in Archviz to get this palette in the scene. I don't have much time to demonstrate, but I can give you an idea. And hopefully, I will inspire you to try as well. So again, this is Ratchet. And now we're still inside the theater, and this is the morning light. I'm going to keep the morning light as it is, and I'm going to try to change the color scheme, getting inspired by the film. It's all about finding which color can go where into your scene, and don't forget how big is this color affecting in the space. So for example, here, I love this kind of blue in the background, right? But it's big. So I'm going to use it on my wall, on the same big surface. And you can see how beautiful it looks to paint the wall with this color. And don't forget, it's all about playing with hue, saturation, and value. This is your three weapons that you have to use. So this is the blue palette, and then you have the green. Let's get the green to the bed. The orange is affecting a small part of the image. Great, I'm going to use the orange and paint it in the chair. As you can see, I'm not just affecting the color, I'm keeping the materiality and the reflection properties and all the textures on top, they're still here. So I'm actually adding the color below. And on top of that, I'm actually adding the texture because I want to keep it real. I'm trying to make it a real thing. So it's all about understanding the scheme that you're working on and trying to get it to the image. Don't forget, anything you practice in life, you get good at. So start practicing today. That was my vision, to practice and learn. And when I learn, I'm going to get this back into my members and help them to get the knowledge in the next level. Let's do more. This is Wes Anderson, the master of color, the master of symmetry. All you have to do is go.
Oh, I think we've lost Nikos. I can't work out if I've lost everyone or we've just lost Nikos.
I think it's just Nikos, or?
We're all here, but
just when he was getting to Wes Anderson as well. Well, that's an excellent half presentation from Nikos there. I can't wait until after the intermission when we get the second half. Are we still live, Nigel?
Yeah.
I can't tell who's frozen on the panel and who isn't because everyone's being very still. Oh, fantastic.
I'm here. I'm missing Nikos, but I'm here.
Okay, well, why don't we, Simon, are you ready with your cocktail experience for us?
I will be in 30 seconds. I need to get a glass and some ice. Give me 30 seconds.
I'm sure we can make some jokes and stuff. Give you 30 seconds, and then you can fill in and.
Well, let's just
be
have a
rude
quick
about me whilst I'm
discussion.
gone.
You're wasting time, Simon.
Let's discuss what we've seen so far. Were there any questions?
Well, you can't have questions without Nikos.
Well, we can discuss it. We can totally discuss it.
Has anyone actually watched this show, Ratchet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah.
It looks incredible.
It is. It's
the color looks incredible. I don't know about the story or anything like that.
Story's good. produced by the same people as American Horror Story.
All right.
So it's got it really sort of, if you like, it's not high camp, but it's just visual. It's a visual feat.
Didn't he do the Hollywood show as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Who's
which show is that, Jason?
Sorry?
Which show is that?
Hollywood. I think it was also on Netflix.
Yes.
All
right.
Yeah, I mean he's been doing a lot of stuff. This guy. He must have a contract with Netflix to do, like, 5 shows in a year or something.
Yeah.
Well,
that's relaxing life.
Are we good, Simon?
Yeah, we're good.
He's ready.
You've got your ice and your ice in a glass. That's all you need.
You got your creative lighting set up.
So
No, I don't.
Oh.
No, I
as an
don't.
interlude to that visual feast from Nikos, we thought it was a bit difficult to. We felt it was a bit too much to ask Nikos to do both the cocktail and a show at the same time. So
the production quality is low, but the alcohol content is high.
After Simon's fantastic efforts at spaghetti bolognese during the chaos group,
I haven't shared that recipe yet, but
we've decided to ask Simon to fill in for a cocktail minute or minutes.
It's going to take 20 seconds. It's going to take 20 seconds. It's a super simple one.
So I understand that Simon's been rehearsing all afternoon as well.
No, I haven't.
I told you Scotch in a glass.
Resident mixologist, Simon Moir.
So this drink has got me in a lot of trouble over the past 10, 15 years. The most trouble it got me in was at a Christmas party when I submitted a bill for £2,500. Not just me, but our office drinking this cocktail. This is a fantastic drink. So it's very simple. You need amaretto. So this is lighting is terrible. I can see what's going on. This is amaretto. This is Disaronno. This is a brand new bottle. Listen to this. Nice. You want to go. A good finger of amaretto. And then we've got Jack Daniels, but you can substitute that for anything you like as long as it's whiskey or bourbon.
Wow.
Oh, it's got plastic on it. Oh, it's maybe looks stupid. Hang on.
The next half hour.
Maybe if you had the lights on, Simon, you might have noticed that.
No, if I put the lights on, you'll all see how haggard I look drinking Godfathers every night. So that's quite important.
Oh, is that what it's called then?
So this drink is called the Godfather, and if I can get into this bottle of bourbon, hang on a minute. I need a nice.
What happened?
Oh, he's back.
Hey,
Nikos,
you're back.
I think Nigel
Nikos,
kicked you
you're
out.
just in time. You're just
It's
in time. You
amazing.
can rate this, right?
Always go bad when you're live.
Don't worry, Nikos. We've slipped to cocktail hour with Simon, so you've got a couple of minutes.
You're drinking without me?
No, it's
Couple
easy.
of
So
minutes.
that,
Get yourself
We haven't
ready.
started.
that's
We're just
the
watching.
Sorry, carry on, Simon, please.
this is amaretto. So you a generous portion of amaretto,
Yes.
and then you added. It needs to be 50-50. You add a generous portion of bourbon.
Ooh, that looks dangerous. I like it.
Simon, I'll be over in a few minutes, yeah?
And then you need a glass of ice.
Oh my God.
Here we
I
go.
have everything. I'm going to try this.
And you see, I judged that to perfection. It's right to the top with the ice.
I like the glass as well. It's a proper one.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. No messing around. It's the best drink in the world.
It looks amazing, Simon. I like how you've given a bit of a tribute to our American free pourers as well, rather than the English measurers.
Honestly, that is a good drink. That is a really good drink. I'm going to cause so much chaos in about half an hour.
Down on one.
Yeah. You know, I tell you what, I'm sure much worse stuff has gone down at a Christmas party in other venues, Simon.
It was a bowling alley, and it was
How do you spend £2,500 in a bowling alley?
Godfathers.
Unless you're that guy that went in there with the tractor and trashed the place.
So was that a work do or just your stag night or something?
It was a work do. I wasn't. I was too young and naive to know about Godfathers when I had my stag do. That was a long time ago. But I've still got. I'm going to finish my beer, and I'm going to wait for the ice to get the Godfather nice and cool, and then I'm going to.
And then you're going to drink that.
Nothing ever went wrong when drinking beer and spirits at the same time, Simon.
It certainly didn't. It certainly didn't. And I have to maintain some professional dignity tonight because Seki Smith are here, who do a lot of work with HB, and they're soon to realise why they do a lot of work with HB. It's because I'm smashed out my face on Godfathers most of the time to do any of it internally. So should be good.
We all tell.
Working from home has a new dimension.
Sure does. Well, I was going to do a dry lockdown because I'd read that's a good thing to do. I thought it would be a good thing to do, to not drink for the next 4 weeks. However, I've just cracked open a bottle of bourbon and a bottle of amaretto. So
You've got 4 hours. Yeah. 4 hours before the next lockdown, so knock yourself out.
That's what I intend to do, Josh. Just you watch me.
We're recording it for posterity. Well, fantastic. And thank you so much, Simon. I've not had a Godfather before, but if the alcohol shops ever open up again, I will be sure to get some of that booze in.
I'll send you an envelope full of vomit if you like, Josh.
Oh.
Simon.
Luckily, you don't know where I live.
That was a hard one.
He hasn't even started drinking
I
the
know where your office
Godfather.
is. Just mature nicely by the time you get to it in 4 weeks' time.
Lovely.
Like a Christmas cake.
So, I think...
By the way, this wasn't my idea to do a cocktail presentation. But I hope you realise that I'm up for it next week. I'm up for it next month as well. I'll do my particular take on gin and tonics.
Have the next mixology specialist.
Yeah, it looks like we've got some competition on the panel for mixing drinks now. Fantastic. Thanks so much for that, Simon. Nikos, are you ready to go into the second half of your presentation?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My apologies. Can you tell me, like, what did you just see before the crash?
I think,
like,
why don't you just start with the Wes Anderson part again?
Yeah,
like
Wes
here.
Anderson.
You just started talking about Wes Anderson at the end.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, he's the real master. Maybe that's why the India collapsed. So I was saying that if you're going to get inspired by color and learn, please follow his work. He's the master of symmetry and the master of color. Just go IMDb and start looking at the films that he's making. He's a real master. So here, as you can see, I'm trying to get the color palette into my work, and I'm getting this beautiful cream into my wall. And then I'm looking for this amazing pink, get it in the chair, and the yellow in the bed. So again, it's all about translating inspiration into knowledge and finding where every color can go into your scene. The more you do it, the better you learn. Then you can do any kind of image and you can bring it into your scene, or you can start creating your own inspiring color palettes. But first, practice and learn before you're doing your own. On the next one, I have something different. Tim Walker, an amazing fashion photographer. When I was living in London, I never missed any of his exhibitions. I think it's really inspiring to see art live in a museum or an exhibition and study the work of these amazing people. So Tim Walker is a great master as well. He's a fashion photographer, but still, he's got this cinematic look. So here I'm using the blue, the yellow, and the red. And you can see how I'm getting this into my scene. I even try to get the color of the wall into my wall. So try again to see how you can translate one color into your scene, and then go to the next one. Suspiria, beautiful film, a horror film back in the days. So let's do the same thing again. This beautiful fuchsia goes into my wall. These beautiful red stripes, red into my own frames. And then you have yellow. It's just a small portion. Get the yellow into the chair. Then you have the green, bigger portion. Get the green to the bed. This is the workflow. This is the process. I have an amazing chat yesterday with some designers in New York, and we're trying to get this approach into a commercial project and get cinematic styling in a hotel. I cannot wait to tell you more about this when I have something to show you. but it's definitely a cool project for us, idea as a concept to research cinematic styling. And now you can see how the last 3 styles by Wes Anderson, Tim Walker, and Suspiria is actually looking into a different composition to a different camera. And this is the iPhone 0.75 aspect ratio. So don't forget, guys, experiment with your aspect ratio and be brave enough to test focal point, lens, and depth of field. At the Grand Budapest Hotel. Again, this is Wes Anderson. Here, it's all about getting different shades of blue and different shades of pink. Very beautiful moment, very emotional. And as you can see, I'm translating this into this. This is the Revenant. This is a monochromatic color palette. When I say monochromatic, it means it's one color in different shades. So you basically choose the hue, blue in my case, and then you have different shades of that color. Emanuel Lubezki is the cinematography of The Revenant, and the film director is Alejandro Corsanes Inarritu. Together, they make amazing, amazing films. So if you haven't seen the work, Emanuel Lubezki again, he did Revenant, Birdman, and Gravity, and he won 3 years in a row Best Cinematography of the Year. So he's definitely know his craft, and he's amazing, amazing, and very talented. Now, this is actually something that I want to bring to the community and asked by Nigel. Nigel texted me on Facebook and he said, Nikos, I'm loving this series. I would love to see David Fincher from Fight Club or Twin Peaks for David Lynch in your scheme, in your bedroom. And I was like, that sounds like an amazing challenge. It sounds that something for me to work and have like somebody asking to do it. So I look around for images and I found this amazing image from Twin Peaks. And I was like, okay, that's my challenge. I have to get this palette into my scene. This time I did something different as well. Can you feel the glossiness of the dark red? So I decided to bring the dark red with glossiness, increase the glossiness on the wall to match my reference. Just add something new in the game as all the time. So you have the dark red, these beautiful lips, the pink goes in the chair. You have the yellow in the bed, and you actually get in the color palette in the scene. I also did something else. When I saw her face, I realized she's daydreaming, looking up in the sky, and there's clouds, and she's enjoying, she's having a smile, she's happy. And then I thought, oh my God, if she's looking in the sky and there's clouds, why not to bring the cloud inside the apartment and create my story? Again, every image has a message. You need to be clear in your mind. What are you trying to say? In this case, she's daydreaming. There is clouds in the sky. Bring the clouds in the scene. So thanks, Nigel, for the challenge, and thanks for asking me to create this scheme. I think I really enjoy it, to be honest. And this is part of my favorite so far, to be honest. I love this color scheme, and I love this image. Now, all I have to do is to get this scheme in all my cameras and get the cloud to support the storytelling. As you can see, by having the glossiness of the wall to match my reference, the image now has more depth. It's even more dynamic. And the cloud makes it a bit different and better than before. And that's why this became my #1 image and my favorite actually image from the scheme. And you can see how the cloud is getting inside the space in every image, even here, but we're actually further away from the bedroom, but the cloud is actually on top of the chair. So guys, this is the cinematic styling. I know I don't have more time to go deep, but if you feel this is inspiring to you, all you have to do is decide the film that you want to make and get the scheme into your design. And don't forget, anything you practice, you get good at. That's it for me. I don't want to waste your time. Thank you all for listening. It was a quick presentation about light and color. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. I'm ready for questions.
Amazing. Thank you, Nikos. Fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for taking the time to prepare that for us today. I especially like the way that you dropped off in the middle of it before coming back with a big splash.
Yeah.
If there's any questions for anyone out there in YouTube land, then please type away and let us know. And I'll also open questions up to the panel as well if there's anyone else that would like to ask Nikos anything.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm here.
Jason's just sent us apologies here. He's had power cuts where he is, so the world's gone mental.
It started in Greece and then spread off to Vienna by the sound of it.
Yeah.
I know, crazy
I
moment.
think you brought up Tim Walker. I mean, his photographs are just amazing, aren't they? You know, it's like he takes a subject, and it could be a famous actor or actress or theatre person or whoever, and then picks up a particular character trait and then just takes it to the next level. You know.
Yes.
I'm
also amazed by his
Joanna Lumley smoking 20 cigarettes, as very ad fab years.
He's crazy. But when I saw his sketch, like all these guys' crazy ideas that he's got, it's always in his mind, and he's sketching the ideas before they start making. It's amazing how he can think about all this process with the sketch. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the image I saw you was a normal one, but there is some crazy ones on his website, like crazy concepts.
Yeah, it just looks like so much fun, though, doesn't it? And I think,
yeah.
And like anyone that goes to this level of detail in staging, the final product looks like it was, it looks like it was, work, but it looks very natural and easy. Yeah. And I'm sure that behind that is months of planning and getting everything ready. And I mean, it must be an incredible amount of work.
He's got a big team. You need to have a lot of big people who are working for you to make this kind of art.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but he's amazing.
Are there any other questions?
How did you make that cloud from the YouTube comments?
Oh, well, it was a daydream anyway. So I just use Photoshop, PNG, cloud, and bring it on. I don't have to go technical. It's all about having an idea. So I didn't want to create it in 3D. There was no point.
Fair enough.
Who was the artist that did clouds indoors? It's Smiled or something?
I think there is a guy actually. I think I've seen some amazing work by a 3D artist.
Oh no, it's actually another 3D artist. It's an artist that is making clouds inside buildings.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you used? I noticed you're using Corona there, Nikos. Have you used the V-Ray light mix as well?
Yes, actually, a Chaos Group asked me to make an article on Art Daily and talk about V-Ray 5. So they sent me the beta, and I have to use V-Ray. It was a great experience for me because it's not about the software, So I enjoy working with V-Ray as well. I use Corona more, but that doesn't mean that I don't like V-Ray.
And did you use Maxwell back in the day as well?
Back in the days, I was using Maxwell just because of that reason, for multi-light. When I'm working, I feel like a painter when I have the option to turn the lights on and off. So for me, this technology, it needs to exist in any software, and that's why I'm so happy that V-Ray now is going to spread this in all the software, like SketchUp.
Yeah, we use this a lot in our work as well, and because we do a lot of post-production, it can be incredibly useful to be able to adjust the lights, colors, and how they affect it, and the gamma, and all sorts of stuff. So,
exactly. And you have the file. You can go back at any time and make changes. If it can save you time in production, in rendering, and to be honest, when you understand the workflow, you can be more creative as an artist.
Okay, great. Well, if no one has any other questions, I'm going to move on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikos. That was fantastic.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So tonight, our next guests are again another one of our panelists, Fabrice, Bourrelly, and Pascal. I've got your second name written down here. Pascal, forgotten it immediately. Montjovent.
I didn't think that might be a challenge. Isn't it?
If you guys could please excuse my French pronunciation, even though my wife is French, I still do all French as if I'm an Australian because I am an Australian. So, Fabrice and Pascal, the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you. So, Pascal, you get to say your own name.
Oh, it's Montjovent. It comes from a mountain, Montjovent, Montjovent. It's I'm coming from Jupiter. It's simple.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. I'm a cinematographer. I wasn't introduced, so I'm a cinematographer in the film domain, and I was for 25 years, and I was just fascinated by Nikos' presentation. It's totally in sync with what I do. I work mainly on real sets, and I worked in for 4 years on virtual sets in Unity and Unreal. That's why I met. That's how I met Fabrice.
Cool. Sorry, I've just hijacked your screen here by sharing my screen.
It's usual. It's usual with you.
It's usual. Cool. Yeah. So my name is Fabrice. I guess some of you've seen me before on here, and I'm what am I? I don't know. Do I have to describe myself? I'm an architect by training and 3D visualizer by profession since 3ds Max 1, I guess, and now I'm a Unreal Engine aficionado, and I teach for Epic and for on my own site. And tonight we are going to show you some Unreal Engine latest things with basically which will continue exactly where Nikos left off, looking at how we can look at some of these ideas, maybe not so much the color coding from the palette, but I'm looking forward to doing that next or in the future, because I have actually enrolled in Nikos's course, which I'm very excited about. So I'll be testing it out on Unreal basically. And so today we are going to show you is something that Pascal and I have been playing around with in previous kind of webinars, and together we've been sort of mixing our expertise, as it were, where Pascal has been working in the physical world, specializing in cameras and lighting and real filters, and he's actually got a very, very popular blog in French with that we should link to in the comments. And we've been having great fun sort of bouncing off ideas, and where he's applying his skills as a lighting and cinematographer, and I've been sort of doing a lot of what I do now with clients, sort of behind the wheel in Unreal, moving things in real time. And so here I'm going to actually swap over to some high-res renders, because I was looking for increasing the level of photorealism that we have in Unreal. And sorry, apologies for this funny look here. Not quite sure what that's doing. I'll open that in Photoshop. Okay, that's doing something funny there. I'll see if I can open that in Photoshop instead, just a sec. And so we've been playing with these scenes, and I was trying to get something as photorealistic as possible, and I came across these Evermotion scenes in on the Evermotion site, and I kind of imported one in Unreal and came up with this sort of super high-res render, which I think you'll agree is kind of a little bit new in coming out of a real-time software like Unreal. So we're going to show you the up-and-coming kind of 4.26 version here. So it's still in preview mode, and we'll of course there'll be some potential mishaps and crashes, but hopefully not. I'm trying to keep things fairly tidy. So Pascal, shall we get started building up this scene?
Yes.
So
you began by the end, because you began by sort of a gray and dull skylight, you know, and now you showed the effect of finding the right weather to suggest emotions, and the right colors also, color contrast. But that's good to have an objective to attain. Now we are going to see how you go toward it.
Yeah, exactly. So I did show you the end first, which well, we'll get back to that, but we'll sort of see a little bit how I kind of started the scene here, basically importing a datasmith file from Unreal, from 3ds Max. So it was really straightforward. So if you want to try that at home, do. Here it's something that you can absolutely, you know, everybody's got these Evermotion files lying around, and they're very well made, and up until now this is the kind of thing that you just wouldn't think really possible in Unreal. But as you can see here, this is something that you can really get your teeth into. And so one of the amazing things about these scenes is that obviously the geometry is very well done, for those of you like me who don't like to model so much. So we'll kind of typically start with this very flat scene. And so what I kind of very early on go into the lit mode here in this case. And if I go actually into the lighting only, we'll just kind of look at this clay render. So what sky shall I try here, Pascal, do you think?
The gray, the dull one. You know, the standard Scandinavian.
Oh, the white one.
Sky.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, so we'll start
The
with that.
one. Mm-hmm.
And so I've got this sort of so for those of you who are a little technical, what I've just done here is I've done a little, what do we call, CVAR in Unreal, which allows me to update this skylight, as you can see, every frame. So this gives me a very strong sort of real-time effect here. So yeah, so we've got here our clay render. And if I go back onto the lit mode here, I can, so we kind of start here with our white render. Pascal, what do you reckon? Oh.
Yes, it's resembling a gray dull sky. It evokes a certain mood, you know, depressing or without a real direction or identity. So, and I see that Archviz people love this kind of light for interiors. I was surprised because it's kind of flattening things, flattening volumes, but it's always interesting to investigate in other disciplines, you know, in music or in real-time 3D or whatever, in gastronomy also, to find you know, parallels, and that gives you ideas. Nikos, for example, told you that the fewer lights you use, the best. I totally agree. Normally, the first mistake of at the beginners is to use too much light, and it's like, you know, in music, when you use too many notes. Miles Davis was deconstructing melodies, you know, and removing notes after note until the melody was barely recognizable, and then he added the last one he just cut away, and he stayed that way. So, and I do that, and Nikos apparently also. You have the same procedure. You prefer to put one light at the best position with the best color, best intensity, best shape, rather than 20 different lights to chase one after another.
Cool. So we actually we've actually got a sunlight in here. So I'm not going to get too technical into how I set that up, but shall we turn that on just to see what that gives us? So we'll kind of turn that off for the rest of the scene, because we're mainly going to be using some different HDRIs here and see what that does. But here we thought it might be interesting to talk about this effect with the sun. Was there something there?
Do you want to change the sky or to change the color of the
I can't. I remember we said we were going to say something about here with the sun, but I can't remember what it was.
Yes,
here.
it could be more interesting to watch it that way, you know, with a slider, depending on the hour of the day. I don't know if you guys already looked at this setup in Unreal. Could you make it move maybe to until midday, you know, until noon? Because that's also, if you remove the orange color, I don't know where this orange color comes from, but at midday you have white, you know, white light, what we call white light. It's relatively cold, and also not very flattering for the architectures, you know, the volumes. So that's the second light that architects use to, you know, to make visualization of their work. And I was surprised because it doesn't make the best out of the, you know, the volumes and the big shape, the architectural gestures, you know. I don't know what the exact vocabulary is. The hours of the day where the sun is near horizon are way more interesting, and then you have to find also the direction from the horizon, you know. But it's really defining shapes and giving volumes to architectural, you know, models. Yes.
Yeah, so I guess it's something. Yeah, painters always sort of wait for that time of the day. So,
and in the movies also, yes.
Oh yeah, you were saying
in the movies. Yeah, at midday we are either eating or, you know, in interiors doing whatever, but we don't film. We don't put camera outside at noon because the sun is ugly. It gives ugly faces, you know, and it's flattering. It's flattening the architecture, so it's not very interesting. We prefer to wait early in the morning, very early, or in the evening at the magic hour.
Great. So basically, so I'm kind of just showing you that that is now, well, sort of working interactively, but now we can go back to our HDRI. So we'll turn the sun off, and then what we have, so I'll actually turn that sun off completely, and the sort of procedural sky is now going to be completely off, and we have, so shall I now put a kind of a blue sky, and you see, so now what we really can do is start playing around with this real-time capture, which is the new kind of functionality in 426, which hopefully is going to work. Sometimes it just sort of stops working, and so, but here what's really amazing is the ability to, well, again, like Nikos was showing in using Corona to be able to mix the lights here, and we're kind of going in this direction in the sense that we can start playing with the rotation of the HDR and play with the reflections and the direction of the sun and things like that, and obviously here with the intensity of the HDRI in the background. So
could you maybe lower the intensity of the sky or something? Yeah, to see some details. Okay. And you showed me also an HDR with a sun inside that casts shadows also. You remember that?
Yes, so that's kind of quite interesting, almost like a little bit of a freak show. If we have, there's an HDR that is available inside of Unreal with the newer versions as well. This particular one here with a very strong sunlight in it. So I've just double clicked on it, so it'll take a second to open. And here you'll see there's a very, very intense spot, obviously here of the sunlight in the middle of the sky. And I can't sample the actual values here, but if you know about HDRs, this is obviously very, very intense. So if I'm take this HDRI and now stick it in the in this view, we have so if I rotate it, so you can see that the HDRI is actually now casting those shadows in real time. And so I'm trying to find a position that is going to be fairly obvious.
That's interesting.
Here, and then there you go.
Actually, it's remembering me the virtual film sets you know that they use nowadays, like for Mandalorian or other shows where you have big LED screens that do like HDRI around the actors, and the LED screens don't really light the actors, but the reflections on them and the ambient light is of course matching what is behind them, because the same image is behind them and on the foreground is around them. So that's interesting. But the LED screens are not capable of really light people. So you can't have daylight, sunshine on such a stage. You know, that's why they use dusk, dawn, night scene, or otherwise they are just shooting on the backlot 100 meters later. Maybe I wanted to show you about diffuser we use on film sets. Can I just share the screen for 1 minute?
Yeah.
Please?
So
it's okay.
Do I stop my share?
Maybe.
Well, I think Pascal can just take over now. I think if you.
Yes. Okay.
Will go. That's it. I can see that.
Okay. I wanted to show you that I was going to talk about colors, but it's not very relevant because Nikos already told you about. I was, by the way, trying to capture some of the palettes. I don't know if you know this color.adobe.com, because it's very interesting. You can upload a picture and then select some points, either automatically or manually, and then you have a color palette and you can analyze it on a chroma wheel. So that's very interesting.
Yes, actually, I use it as well. It's a great tool from
Yes.
Adobe. But thanks for mentioning this,
Sure.
because many people, maybe they wanted to hear about this kind of tools.
Of
Very
course.
amazing. Yeah, very amazing.
I was thinking about that during your expose, because you are mentioning existing films. So that's a good thing to remember, you know. Either like this is Raised by Wolves from Ridley Scott, you know, and you always see a warm and not always, but often a warm cold contrast, either green yellow or blue orange or something like that. And it's always interesting to see where the color come from. So that's what we put in front of direct, you know, spotlights. It's called diffusers, and they come in various intensities, you know. So that's a double diffusion, a very heavy one that casts a very, you know, blurry, fuzzy shadows. And I just wanted to show you that. That's with a bare bulb, you know, the first one, a bare bulb. This one is a bare bulb, but slightly diffused through a very, you know, thin fabric. And so you see the original shadow, but also you see some of the fill in the shadow coming from the side of the light. And then if you use a totally opaque diffusion, like the one you saw in front of the projectors, you have more and more diffused light the farther you go from the object. So I just wanted to mention that, because Fabrice showed you before a dull gray sky, which is made by the equivalent of putting a lot of heavy diffusers in front of your spotlights.
Mm. Cool. Well, so we'll come back to this actually in the next scene. How much time have we got? I forgot to look at the clock when we started.
I think nobody really knows, to be honest, given the fact that we had an interval in the middle of Thingy's Nikos's presentation. So I think you keep going. You another 10 minutes, we'll be fine.
Okay, cool. All right. So, okay, so we'll finish off with this scene with the little look that we kind of got to in the end, shall we, Mr. Montjovent?
We shall certainly.
So we'll just scroll through a few of these again. The idea, what I'm kind of keen to show you is the fact that.
Fabrice, you
yeah.
have to share your screen again. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Not sharing my screen. So here we are. So the fact that can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Great. So here I've got this skylight that is again sort of hopefully sampling the environment in real time, and I'm kind of just swapping these HDRIs, and so it's and so now I need to make sure my skylight is now updating, and it's not doing it. So here we go. That's this real-time capture is sometimes working and sometimes not. So I've got an extra little trick here. So here, basically, it's this look development, just very, very easily done with these swapping out these real-time, these HDRs in real time, and you can see that the illumination is updated immediately. So that's kind of a really great tool, again, to be able to use that in very fast iterations like this. So in the end, what's with the green, Pascal?
Yes, we were talking with Fabrice about the expressivity, the emotion that have to come out sometimes from, a suggestive view simulation of, a face or an object or a building. So we talked about contrasting cold and soft, cold and warm lights in a subtle way. So that was the suggestion to highlight some scenes, corridors, and and the sky in an opposing color of the spectrum. So this kind of teal color, which is all the craze now in blockbusters movie, like since 5 years. You see always this opposition between this teal color between blue and green, and this kind of orange. It's very important to pay attention to the relative saturation of each of your colors, because if, for example, the green was saturated more than the orange, it would pop out, and appear a little bit vulgar. So we just constructed 4 different shots, putting 4 different cameras on the set, and making camera moves, and easing the movements, and making something to suggest a certain type of feeling. And I don't know what you think about the final result. It was made in I would say for 40 minutes, everything, the lighting and framing and camera movements and editing. So it's really that's for me, coming from the movies, film negative, and in my youth, and then heavy video cameras and things, or animation where you had to wait for 60 hours per frame, and there are 25 frames per second. It was cumbersome and you had to make all the right decisions before, because otherwise you would never be able to release a film. And this a real-time thing changes my my life. That's why I'm fascinated by that and Fabrice's work.
Yeah, so well, I'm fascinated too, because to be honest, this is all kind of fairly new to me. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, wow, this is kind of where we started to decide, you know, to work on this, because yeah, with all the stuff that's going on at the moment, Mandalorian, all the virtual production, I guess for us lot visualizers, where maybe the architectural industry is beginning to flag a little bit, well, there's a whole other developing industry that's basically virtual production, you know, that I'm getting a lot of inquiries about, and there's definitely some crossover between our skills and, you know, all this new stuff. So I don't know what you're seeing on your screen. I'm kind of seeing a little bit of, you know, some ants walking, which is the new feature. And so here I'm just giving you a quick sort of full screen, and you know, we've got some issues that we're going to develop answers to, you know, but here the main point is that yes, it's very, very, very fast to prototype this. You know, in a couple of hours you can get that out. And
would
then
you
again,
have 2 minutes? Fabrice, would you have 2 minutes to show them the kitchen? Or
yes, so let's let's
yes.
drop into the kitchen view. So I've got that right here. I'll give Unreal a second to cache all this, and then I'll show you the renders that I got out of that.
The challenge here was to find a good framing first. That's what we do on the movie set also, to find a good frame, and then only then to light the shot. And then we studied about various, you know, directions and colors. Of course, when the sun enters like almost horizontally in a room like this, it's almost always warmer, so we had to color the lights in orange. But we with Fabrice we tried 2 different lighting techniques. One was about trusting the system and the algorithm, you know, and it was mesmerizing. And then we felt a bit of lack of control, and we tried another system. So maybe you want to show it.
Let's turn it on. Okay, so same thing. What I'm looking for is real time, all right? This is real time. It's supposed to be real time. And as we know, when you do in Unreal, you've got to do like baking and all this stuff, and which is basically makes it pretty much impossible to deal with things like this. And so I don't know what you guys think,
wow,
but
that's amazing.
You know, yeah, exactly. This is absolutely not UV mapped and unwrapped or baked.
Is that a bong on the table back there?
Sorry?
Is that a bong on the table back there?
It is. It is a bong. Very elaborate.
You have the you have the eye.
A keen eye. Hey, I was a student once.
There's all sorts. I think there's several bongs here. Maybe it's
I didn't inhale.
A Breaking Bad set here.
I think, how are you guys doing? I think we're going to run out of time pretty soon.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. Well, yeah, so I'll just show you the one option, 2 more minutes here. So here, this is kind of the nice, quick and dirty. Again, we've got this nice shadow effect with a tree outside. But so it's great to kind of get the look, but we kind of miss some flexibility. So I'll just turn this off quickly. Oh, turn that off again, and I'll turn the skylight off as well. And now we've got the ability to play. So I'll just turn these off one by one, and then I'll just turn them back on. Maybe Pascal, you want to sort of just quickly comment, and then we'll be done.
Yeah, the thing, or that's an ambient light, you know, sort of a fill light that fills shadows, and
so maybe
but
I'll start
maybe
with
you want to
one.
yeah This one, yes, going through the window, not in the room, but through the window and through the foliage of a tree. And then we missed some details in the background, you know, in the other room. And we also missed some details because we loved, Fabrice loved this chair on the foreground. So we had to light it, but with the algorithmic light you saw before, it wasn't impossible to reach it. So this allows us to light each pane, you know, the background room, the foreground, and the chair, and then the fill, and also the right side of the frame, where normally blue sky comes in, or blue sky, when the sun sets, you know, on the other side of the sky, it's deep blue normally. So that's why it's a bit cold out there on the right side of the frame. And somewhat, it's feeling like a normal, realistic, you know, render lighting of the scene. That's because it remembers us humans about moments we have lived often. Okay, I think we are done.
That's the idea.
Fantastic, amazing. So that's all ray tracing that we're looking at there. Is that what it is, Fabrice?
Absolutely, all ray tracing. You know, running on a 2080 Ti, completely everything in real time, and no
It feels like
prep.
you're getting such good results off what is now an old card. Not old, obviously.
I know.
No,
it's only got 4,500 cores.
But that looks incredible. I think, yeah, really amazing.
Yeah, it basically, this is, you know,
it doesn't look very complex to say, perhaps.
No, it's 387 actors, you know, so it's manageable.
Is there a lot of optimization to get there?
No, nothing, no optimization at all. So
optimize anything.
yeah, exactly, and just throw it in.
Without time, haven't we?
yeah.
Hey Fabrice,
So,
I'm doing a lot of stuff with virtual production in architecture, so it's not everyone that's being left behind.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'd love to talk to more architects about what we're doing with LED walls and virtual production and stuff. But I do have a couple of questions actually. Pascal, one for you. When I've worked with a DOP in a virtual production environment previously, there seems to be a real misunderstanding or I guess perhaps, you know, Unreal Engine doesn't really conform to the way that light works and lighting and lights and studio environments and all that kind of stuff. There's a real disconnect. How do you get over this thing when you're, you know, having worked with Fabrice now? You know, there must be a great conversation between the two of you, I guess.
Yes, because you know you found in Unity and in Unreal real life cameras, you know, real life sensors and real life machinery. You find real life dollies, for example, or cranes, you know, and everything you can choose the brand, you know, Arri or Red and or Canon, but in the lighting field there is nothing. You know, every light has to be mathematical, and you have to learn very complex names, and it's totally a foreign, you know, ground. It's totally another adventure. So yeah, we had to learn a lot from each other, but it's very interesting. And you know, Red Dead Redemption, the video game. Yeah. And I was amazed by the photography in this game, you know, the lighting. So I interviewed for my blog the lead, one of the 4 lead lighting technicians, and he's a doctorate in computer science, but also fascinated by light. So he came to lighting from development, you know, and so now he works for you know, Rockstar Games on user-friendly lighting equipment, and we are working together on that. And he's working in London, so I will join him after the curfew, and we will find a way to develop together lighting equipment that is user friendly. You know.
Mm-hmm. We're in real life.
Within Unreal Engine, you mean?
Yes, of course. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Well, I would love to hear more about that in the future. Definitely.
Well, you will, my friend.
But not until it's ready. Pascal, you know, something you said in that presentation as well, which really stuck out to me, which is a problem that we have, or that I have, or my team have with clients all the time, is too much light. You know, you said one light at the best position.
Yes,
is the best thing to do. Yeah, because we always, you know, because we really like the dark areas in the images. You know, we like to have this juxtaposition between light and dark, and you need to have that contrast so that you can really drive the composition. And something that we always struggle with our clients is they want us to light everything up. And you know, at the end of a few review sessions, everything turns out to be this kind of mishmash of kind of narrative within an image.
I would say, you know, the aim is to maintain, like Nikos said, a hierarchy. It's a complicated word in English, hierarchy, you know, for because there has to be hierarchy. It has to be a main light, one main light, like on Earth there is one sun in the sky, and everything on daylight is a secondary or tertiary effect of the sunlight. But the place of the sun, his intensity and color, for example, sets everything. You know, so the secondary light, for example, if the sun is yellow, the secondary light, the bouncing light from, for example, from the kitchen walls, has to be yellow also. And so, but it will be diffused because it bounces from a matte surface. So, and for example, you see a specular surface on the floor between the two rooms here on the left of the frame, you know, and you see this specular reflection on the ground, which is very interesting also. But it's a secondary effect from the sun. It comes firstly from one source, and if you can maintain this hierarchy in your overlit scene, it's good because you still have some, you know, some storytelling, as Nikos would say. So you enter the frame by the light, for example, or by, you know, a form, but the light guides your eye in the scene and puts things in, for example, makes you want to see some things first, and then another thing, and then another thing, following golden rules composition or lighting. For example, here the sun puts your attention where no eye would go first discovering this kitchen if it was lit by a Scandinavian skylight. So if you find some hierarchy, okay, and then your client can ask you to overlight that, to add too much fill, but you will have real sunshine enter your room, and it will be less bad than if it's just a soft light, soft gray light everywhere, you know, which is dull.
Yes. Yes. Right.
I don't understand why Scandinavian light in interiors is popular among architects, because it flattens everything, you know.
Yes, it does. I completely agree. Yeah, they really like the darks, don't they? I guess it might be to do with how people are viewing that. You know, they're viewing it on web pages and in print documents. You know.
Yes.
You wouldn't really approach it like a cinematographer, you know. So.
Yeah, it's just a document with information.
That's a great. There's a real conversation in there as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
So if I can open the floor up to any other questions, if there's anyone on the panel that would like to ask Fabrice and Pascal anything.
I don't
Great.
think. But to be a killjoy, let's keep moving.
Yeah.
I think we're actually on target, Nigel, as well. So
Okay.
one comment though, Fabrice, AC/DC is a good band, but perhaps not a good viewer of
awful.
images.
I just installed it. It's absolutely awful. It's like, anyway, cool.
Fabrice, I think you know, I love the work that you've been doing this, and you've obviously been pitching that you can do you can do a full-blown image still in Unreal.
Well,
say anything about that as well?
Still, just about beginning to, you know, that's the so I'll fire up the old AC/DC. You know, the point for me. Oh, great! So it doesn't display properly. Hang on, I'll just fire.
I am in trouble because we're 5 minutes behind, but that's
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, there's just the fact that we can do super high-res renders now, you know, changes everything. The fact that we've got no anti-aliasing problems is, yeah, is really a new paradigm, because with no extra effort, you can output these 4K renders, and so it's coming closer and closer every time. So.
And you were doing so you're in 4.26 now, the new version, which obviously has a lot of skylight enhancements and stuff.
Yes, yeah, which are very experimental at this stage.
Right.
So yeah, as I say, it works sometimes. So I just keep experimenting, and I'll give you all the results.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, well, you're conducting a class, aren't you? So one last pitch for your class, Fabrice.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, where Pascal and I are going to work into putting all this stuff into a package, into, you know, longer classes, and looking at different scenes and different scenarios. So that should be exciting. And I've got a membership where we meet every month, and then you can go and check it out on my website. Links below the video on YouTube.
Fantastic. Well, Pascal, Fabrice, thank you so much.
Brilliant.
Thank
you guys.
Yeah, that was super interesting. I really enjoyed it. So without you know, stuffing around much more, we are pleased. We're very happy to introduce our final presenters for this evening, who are from Secchi and Smith. Tommaso Secchi and Joshua Smith.
Hello. Cool. Can I share screen first, just to make sure we get that out of the way? Otherwise, I might mess up.
Yeah, let's get all the technical issues out of the way at the beginning rather than the middle, mentioning no names, Nikos.
And make sure you do the little optimize for movies.
Yeah, good idea. I'm just going to stop again. You reminded me. Thank you.
Oh, I think you've dropped the screen.
Yeah, I'm going to do the optimize.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Fine.
It's all right.
Tommaso, did I pronounce that correctly? Is it Secchi?
That's Secchi. It's like you need to.
It's the Italian hard C. I never know exactly how to do that.
Yeah, fine. That's sexy, Secchi, sticky. Sexy Smith.
Well, I did Pascal's name much worse than I did your name, so there we are.
That's a good one.
Yeah, well, a good one, I'd say, at the least.
So,
well,
yeah, thank you 3DS for having us, and also to everyone on YouTube, wherever you may be. I hope everyone's safe and well, given the current climate. Yeah, so just a little bit about us. So, as you just said, Tommaso Secchi and Joshua Smith, we set up Secchi Smith a year and a half ago now. We were back in June last year. We both come from architectural backgrounds. I studied up in Newcastle, did my part 1, moved to London, and then I realised I didn't want to be an architect. So I did the little switch. Tommaso studied in Florence.
Yeah, Florence, moved here, 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
6 years,
yeah, we met together. We were previously working at Fortis Massey, directors there, and then in June last year we set our own company, and yeah, it's been great. And yeah, we are here to share a little bit our process, our workflow, our vision, let's say, of the image making. That it's pretty much based on a sort of, if you want to put it in a percentage, we want to put in a 50-50 in terms of 3D software and post-production. So we kind of voluntarily keep the 3D base at a good standard base, but without pushing too much, because we want always to go for a route where it's possible. We want to integrate with photography and to give our own idea of how to manipulate contrast photos, objects. So it's always like a circle between what is 3D good base and what can be replaced or what can be integrated from the 3D if possible, because we don't have a photo of that. So this is the style that we want to that we're embracing. And when you know, sometimes it's called like painterly style, but we don't want to confuse the fact that painterly means like something more 2D. It's a combination where there is that sort of feeling that it's photorealistic, but it's also very more like how do you say, illustration in a way. So it's always this fighting between the two that then creates the style. So what's the arrow? This one? Yeah. Obviously, I mean, the process is about, as usual, as per everyone, is about composition, light, materiality, narrative, and atmosphere. But it's about the interpretation you give for each of it, for each of the aspects, yeah. That you can arrive to the style and the vision of image making that you want to communicate. Because I think it's very important to create your own vision, evolve it in time, because every time you experiment, even with softwares, you can always get this sort of like input to the big pot that then create this sort of like a product that is developing in time, and you can add like a different how do you say, like inputs, personalized, from the outside, and in the software as we are enjoying, like discovering like day by day, also with the help of the artist that is joining. They are joining the office, and they can bring their own experience and vision. We truly like look at photography and inspirations from photographers, and especially in this matter we can see how also photographers are interpreting what they see through the camera. So we try to compare ourselves like them, where we have a 3D camera, 3D software, that have a tool which is in their hand, but they produce an output which is the base from the point where you can then develop the style that you want to arrive. Sometimes you see photographs that you struggle to understand whether are they photos or are they render, as sometimes it happens the opposite. So you have a render that you struggle to understand whether it's a photo or not. So our question sometimes, can be a photo be not photorealistic? And the answer is yes. Like it's all about the eye and what you want to communicate through your imagery. And for that reason, like we developed this style. We're bringing at the beginning like some of the example of our latest work that we have done, and the atmosphere and the feeling of being in the exact place. It's probably a fundamental for our approach. So the photography, as I said like previously, is very important, and go on the site and take photography of the exact spot is very important for us. Like no matter where you are, if it's in London, we go. If it's in Europe, we try to go. If it's like around the world, we always like trying to get an agreement with the architect to commission a photographer and go exactly where we need to take and do the image.
This was a little bit easier before coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly. But we're dealing with that. For example, this is like London, Blackfriars Road, and sunny day. As usual, like our composition has an approach that we are facing mainly like the big, like the facade of the building, and then we treat it as a painting, and we try to understand the narrative, the place, the position of the people, and how to lead the eye through the image. This is in Manhattan, like for example, another case where the photography was essential. So Manhattan has a very unique feeling, and the trees in Manhattan are quite unique. So for example, it's been a bit of a struggle, but the photographer had to go there, commissioned by ODA, and then we had to cut out the trees because we wanted to use exactly the trees that they were exactly in that point, and they were so specific that any other 3D assets, like even though they're very good nowadays, they will never be like able to replace exactly that tree, especially in these occasions. So it's a bit of a struggle to cut out all the leaves and everything, but at the end of the process, has been very satisfying for us to develop this image. And then again, in terms of atmosphere, it's very important to develop also the depth and the feeling of being in another place. So that was like London, and then Manhattan. Here is Moscow. We wanted to do this like a winter shot from the river. So again, the photos has been very fundamental. From here, we had to do like a research photos from that river, looking at that side because it's quite specific, and so on and on about the atmosphere and how it develops through every time we have a different approach for a different project. Another project, for example, this is South America in Buenos Aires, and that proves like how the colors and the approach, the sky and the saturation, the type of trees. Even in that case, even in this case, we had to send a photographer there to get the trunk of the trees and many other aspects, even the small details of the road that you can recognize is from the place. Like if you are in London, you have very specific marks on the road, very specific details that you want to integrate into your image. Yeah, as a last of our initial introduction, we have another project we've done that we think is very successful for Chapania Castridge Architects in Malaysia. And again, it's always about the integration of the materiality, the integration of the usage of photography for planting, for example, in this case, that we try to integrate these like photos that gives you the idea is whether is it 3D, is it photos. And so for everything, for the material, we always like to push the materials in Photoshop, its materiality, the texture, the diffuse. And then at the end, you have this sort of picture that it's in between the threshold of the photorealism and the illustration. A project that we'd like to show you as a first is our actual very first project that we have done back last year in June. It's for Sergis and Bates Architects. They are an amazing studio, very careful to the approach and the details and the materiality that you're using. So it's in Bruxelles, and if I can go, oh yeah, exactly. So this is the existing site, is the former Citroën car factory, the Pompidou Center in Brussels, and they had to redevelop the space to create this
multidisciplinary artist studios, exhibition spaces.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but just bringing life back to the space. It's an incredible space. Like the way the light diffuses through the ceiling. Like Tommaso said, Sergis and Bates, working with there was a bigger, wider team out in Brussels as well. They're all very into the details and making sure that they're sort of not taking anything away from what is there, but just adding very delicately like their own installations and tiny details to bring something back.
Yeah. So in this case, the type of light inside, the way it filters thirds through the glass and hits the ground and the atmosphere was very important for them. Even like the smallest detail of the columns, what to retain, what to get rid of. And if we go into, so this is the outside, for example, we developed one of the shots. For example, this is one of the exteriors that we've done. And again, it's just like a complex mix between photo and render, and try to create these palettes as well in this case, and the color and the detail of the road that we had to take from the photo. And if we go to the interiors, for example, a very complicated and heavy model, but everything it was there, every color has been very specific, and through obviously the
meticulous.
Yeah, from the architects, we have been able to develop this very specific style for these images. And the uses of the people and the narrative, we like to play in that sort of threshold where it's in between reality and stage, let's say, because it's more theatrical at the same time. And I think we want to communicate that with our images that always it's framed within the border of the composition. And for that reason, sometimes it looks more like a stage for people as well. Like in this case, it's always like it's more obviously like a stage itself with a performance and people watching. But that concept, it's present like in many of our images. Another space, still another type of light, sunset. It's about the detail where the light hits the wall on the right hand side. The exhibition, the materiality, the outside. Again, another image of the interior, and another image of the outside. And on this one, I would like to share a couple of building up that probably gives you a better idea of our process. And just a second, we're gonna.
This is where our there we go. Cool.
So you can see, yeah, the base render is pretty, it's there. And obviously there is a lot of details that we bring. Photos, again, we had to go there, or the architects go there in this case for this canal photo. And it's all about bringing like life to the image through post-production to get to this point. Another building up is the image we just have just shown you. It's building up. We're going to have the base render, and then it's all about bringing details from the photography, the highlights, and the texture, the materiality, and then the narrative of the people. And then as a last passage, the atmosphere to give depth to the image. To continue on our PDF, we would like to introduce you to another project. So we're trying to show you some of the project that for us has been like
unique.
Yeah, unique.
Very, very different in terms of the way that the architects themselves have wanted to approach the projects. It's not just a case of here's a model and then we're getting going. There's been very careful consideration about how we approach it. Like the next project we're about to show you, the architect, there was no model. So because the idea was, so Dagler, they're based in Luxembourg. Again, another very talented architecture studio. All the team are lovely, and they basically came to us, and they had this idea to bring back wildlife into the city. So they wanted to find pockets of public space that they could add to thrive. Basically, they wanted it to be the beating heart, and rather than you having to leave the city to find forests and wildlife, they wanted to bring that into the city so that it could be enjoyed by everybody.
So, for example, these were the areas where they would like to get the design for these specific locations. And, for example, this was one of the spots that we would like to introduce these strategies. And so we decided to approach these project without the usage of the 3D side of it, just Photoshop, using photos and assets from our library, or like we go outside, we take photos, we cut out stuff. And then, for example, from this, we went down to this approach. This is sort of like a jungle forest. They wanted to go very deep into the experiment of how this could be transformed completely. Or, for instance, another spot was this one. So, as you can see, it's a very bare scenario. And from this point, we could go down to this, like building up everything from photos, tweaking lights, making more 3D, catching the light from the side, from the other side, shadows and everything.
And also, I may or may not be able to spot this. Yeah, there's probably about 5 to 10 different species of animals. I think there's a snake on the foreground tree on the right. And there's butterflies, there's parrots. The architect, they want something fun and engaging. They're trying to sort of get the city to be on board with. Maybe it's a radical idea, but it's something to just bring excitement and be different, and yeah, draw attention to something that's obviously, like, given everything going on. Obviously, climate change is at the forefront of a lot of people's mind. Well, hopefully everyone's mind. It's about bringing that life back and having more of a wilderness.
Yeah, we have a building app for this, which I think it could be quite interesting to show again the process, like a few seconds to give you like an idea of the work behind it. And so starting again from the base, there is this sort of like placing of all the elements, trees, and then step by step, you get the image in place. Some passage, like every element has been tweaked, but it would have been too long, so it's a long process. But it was a funny approach, because it was like without the use. I mean, it probably is the only one where we haven't, like, where we went through just Photoshop without touching the 3D side of it. So it was quite unique. So this is another project for the great Bradley architects, which we think is quite successful for the actual set. And at the end, we have been able to experiment with a cinematograph shot. So where the camera is still and something is happening. So it was quite important also the usage of sound for that. So the area, it's in Cornwall. The project was very nice, and for the approach, because it was a big development, and every area of this project was touching different scenarios, like closer to the sand and the wider vegetation, harbor, like more like an industrial approach. So, for example, even in this case, they wanted to introduce a sort of like a more tropical courtyard. So even in this case, it was very funny to use photos and integrate from a very good base to the usage of elements, tweaking them, and create this sort of like a painterly approach. Because I think it's between the usage of photos and the 3D that you get this sort of like a conflict between whether it's more a photo, like a more like an illustration. Another area still from the tropical area, and then you move into like the usage of another area where the material is changing for the building, more rough, and the usage of the trees is different, more pine trees, this type of vegetation. Then you go to the arbor. And we've been also very lucky that the architect was very, very open for the approach we want for the composition. So to create this sort of like a sort of stage images where the architecture is it's there. Sometimes it becomes almost like the background of the image, and then you create the story, the narrative, but everything then at the end makes sense. Another shot of the area shown previously. The arbor, so you can play with different time of the day. This is the area where there was the wilder, the hillside with the wilder grass. And again, it's all about like the mix between photos and the 3D in order to get this sort of like atmospheric and painted effect. Here is the cinematograph. So it was our first approach to that, and it's been very finding its approach. The architect was very happy, and we're trying to develop these as a sort of like an R&D department at the moment. And and as a project,
I think we've had audio overload there from the seagulls. I don't know what happened quite.
Oh, did it cut out? You want us to play again?
No. Please don't. I think I could see you talking, but I couldn't. All I could hear was the seagulls. So maybe you should say what you were saying over the film.
No, I think it was like it's our approach for these cinemagraphs. It's like it's an image, but it's trying to give you something more through the usage of very specific sounds from the play, and the perception of something is moving. So this was the approach for this cinemagraph. And the last project we would like to introduce is our first animation that we have done for Moir & Co. So obviously before we have done the visual, so the project is in Shoreditch, and the development will be where you see this
low-rise
brick building in front of you. And so obviously the atmosphere changes. We are in London, Shoreditch, quite specific place, quite specific mood for people as well. So this is the first shot we've done, like for example on the other side, where it's more like a dash shot. You can feel the sun is going down because it's like on the upper part of the building. It's raining, tarmac is wet. So we're trying to replicate like an area, specific area into our images. And a night shot again, trying to bring the colors, the light, the atmosphere. Then you go into the interiors, and it's very specific with the type of activity. And again, like this sort of like a stage composition and narrative for the people. And so all of this to introduce you to our final slide, which is the animation, which is our first animation. So it's been very funny because we tried also to play with the green screen and a lot of aspects that we've never experienced before. And we hope you guys enjoy it.
Yes.
Just a second.
Please let us know if it cuts out. We'll,
I'm just going to turn my volume down.
Yeah, be careful with your headphones in anyone.
Take your time, don't worry, the audience is used to this.
I think we're going to get some lagging and upload in here.
Need to wait a little bit.
Okay, it seems like we're going to have a couple of problems with that.
Yeah.
Do you think, is that worth sending over to you, Nigel, to play that video?
Not now. Well, we can upload it to social tomorrow.
I would like to make it work though. It'd be great to be able to see it with the panel here and everything. So,
unless the guys wanted to send it, we transfer it to me now.
Yeah.
Why don't we transfer over to Nigel and we can ask a few questions about what you've shown us tonight while he downloads it. I hear his download is very slow, not quite as bad as Simon's. I think Simon's frozen. You there, Simon?
Simon's finished the bottle.
Yeah, one too many Godfathers perhaps is the problem. Are there any questions for Tommaso and Joshua from the panel tonight?
I loved your framing, you know, the according, for example, a lot of space to the sky where nothing happens. I love this negative space, and I wonder if you use long lenses when you do the background for your compositions, because that's why that's what I told to Fabrice also, not to use the wide angle lens of the video game, you know, capabilities of the game, but to use rather medium or long focal lengths, not for focus or something like that, but more for the adjustment in you know, in profondeur, in depth between background and foreground.
Yeah, it's we enjoy when the focal length narrow down, because it's in a way makes everything more like in line for us to play with this sort of play of perspective and of that. So it happens that we, especially if we have to go for corner shots, we always play with a narrower focal length that allows us to showcase more the way we want to showcase stuff when we have more than one point perspective. Quite rare, to be honest. But yeah, as I said, we like to play with a lot of skies. Because at the same time, when you have that amount of sky, it's a sort of like brings you back to the architecture, and you have this sort of composition that makes sense at the end. But it's strange, but it's this collage that we have, and we are able to control the scale of the things. Nothing is like related to one photo, for example. Every time we do an image and we go for site photography, we always design in 3D composition first, because we want to control that from our side. And then when we go on the site, we take a lot of photos, and then it's a collage basically. And it's really hard to tell whether it's a precise focal length for that camera, because we control size of elements sometimes to give the depth and the perspective we want.
Fantastic. So, Seiki Smith, guys, I have an interesting question. Oh, hang on.
Simon's mum's calling.
My mum. Give me a minute.
She'll stop calling.
She's stuck calling me. She doesn't care. So I have an interesting question. So there's like a movement. It's called the New London Architecture Movement, and I would guess HB is a member of that, and they have a certain aesthetic, and I think you guys have drilled into that and really nailed it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
My question was really, if you were to, you know, if you get projects that are outside London, do you like them? Do you enjoy working on those? Do you enjoy working on a different aesthetic, or you know, is it something that I mean, for me, I'll just be honest here, that in HB, I don't work a great deal for the residential project teams. We work more in the sort of education sector and possibly the infrastructure sectors, but the residential project teams have a very definite look that they're after, that you guys have really locked into. And I wondered, do you guys feel a little bit, you know, I'm not trying to suggest anything, but do you feel like that's restraining you, or is it something that you've embraced and you've really, because it certainly looks like it from the images that you've presented tonight. They're all absolutely incredible, and I love your work. But you guys sometimes feel that you're possibly constrained by your clients and what they want you to do.
Yeah, at the same time is also the very particular style, because we enjoy sun, so everything is shaped by the sun. At the same time, that brings clients keen to do that in a way. So it's very rare that we're going to do like a dash shot moody, for example.
Yeah.
There's yeah, it's a sort of like a both ways sometimes, because we really like that approach to design, to showcase architecture through the uses of sun and shadow that defines the space and or the actual shape of the building. And as I said, that brings also clients keen to develop that style. But yeah, it happens also that we do some like different type of approach, of course, like a very low sun that brings it's more like a dash shot, but it's rare that there is no hint of sun in our images.
Yeah.
I think,
and then then to follow up that question is, you know, how important do you guys feel? Because I mean, there's this very definite movement, certainly, and I know we have lots of international viewers this evening, but within London, there's a very definite clique of fashionable architects who are doing incredible residential projects, and they all have a very definite way of presenting their work, and you guys have tapped into it, and you guys are certainly surfing the wave there, you know, deservedly, because your work is incredible. But what I wondered was, you know, if a client came to you from, I don't know, the Middle East or from India or from the Far East, I think you could sort of move your aesthetic to their kind of projects as well.
Yeah, we have actually done projects in Dubai. We've done stuff in Vietnam. We've done a few different, but going east away from the UK. We've been lucky enough to actually collaborate on projects out there. And yeah, I think we were able to transfer our style, and as Tommaso was saying, the importance for us is the sense of place, making sure that every image feels like where it should be. So light's different. So in Dubai, you've got a higher sun. It's almost just like more of a yellower light, and it's a brighter light.
But that's the point, like because when we went to Dubai because we have a couple of clients there. But when we do an image in Dubai, because we've been there, and it's not like the Florida type of climate that you find there. It's hazy, it's really hot, it's very bright,
very dry.
So when we go towards this location, we want to embrace the real atmosphere there. So we have a project in Dubai, but we're trying to actually make it in Dubai, which is like from our perspective, when we went there and we took photography and everything, it was very hazy. It was very like the power of the sun was like hitting you. And so that's what we're trying to do with these visuals. And as well, we have projects in Malaysia or Vietnam, and visiting those places as well, you realize like that it's the imperfection of the places that sometimes we embrace and we like to bring to the images.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting, and the reason why I'm talking to you about it is because it would be easy just to, it doesn't matter where the project comes from in the world, it would be easy to treat it the same way. But what I find particularly beguiling about the work that you produce is whenever I look at an image, it's, oh, that's in London. That's really, that, you know, I know where it is.
I'm quite interested in Simon, the London style of visualization. If you could elaborate a bit more about that.
Well, I can elaborate a little bit more about it. I don't want to upset anyone, but I think Forbes had a great deal of influence on that. I don't know where Forbes is these days, and I certainly don't want to open speculation on that. But
Copenhagen.
Copenhagen, okay, right. Well, I hope he's doing very well there. But I mean, there's a definite nuance in visualization these days, and it's not ignoring where in the world the visualization is done. And I think it's incredible. It's starting to pick up on what photographers have done for a long time. And I think what's what was easy, 10, 15 years ago is for visualizers just to make it, the client says, oh, it needs to be bright and sunny, or it needs to be the evening, and it needs to be a bit dusky, and a little bit of excitement from the lights inside the buildings. I think what's really exciting is that visualization and 3D visualization has reached that point now where we can pick up these nuances in where in the world these visualizations are supposed to be. I suppose what I'm doing is a kind of a roundabout way of just saying, oh, well done, Seiki Smith, because I love what you're doing. But it's really exciting to note how it's changed over the past 10 years, and we're now getting to the point where you can do a visualization of a project that hasn't even been built, and you can kind of figure, oh, well, that's in Dubai, or I don't know if I'd recognize something in Malaysia. I used, 20 years ago, I did a whole bunch of projects in Kuala Lumpur, and I'm not sure 20 years ago I could make that visualization of a building in Kuala Lumpur look any different to a visualization of a building in London. I wasn't skilled enough.
It's actually a pretty interesting conversation, I think, Simon, about whether a visualization should be about the location, or whether or not that should be about the architect.
Yeah.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah.
Please, Nigel.
Can we let the guys finish their presentation?
Okay, yeah, fine.
To finish the conversation here, the key point for us is photography. So if you have a project in Dubai, it's key to have photography from Dubai for that specific place.
Just the road markings and all the imperfections.
You start from the imperfection, from the road marking, you start from the actual lights of the space. So
red and white curbs.
Yeah, the 3D base, it's giving you the tools to start. Then it's your vision, it's your way to see things with the usage of the photography that you have, and Photoshop that you can tweak colors, light to get your idea of the place. And especially if you visit the place, because it's also like a fun part to go on the place and travel, visit, experience it, and then you bring everything back to the image.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to interrupt your flow. Nigel's picked me up on that. But what I was quite excited about was that you guys you definitely sort of keyed into the London look, and you've absolutely nailed it for a number of years. And I was just excited that visualization could pick that up. They could pick up those cues from photography and traditional ways of representing architecture, and make it about a place, so that immediately you know where it is, even if you don't recognize the building that you're representing. There are cues that you guys are picking up on, which, oh, it's in London, and I know it is straight away.
You have made your point, Simon.
You've made your point. Shall we watch the video?
Okay.
Thank you.
Please, yeah, thank you.
Roll VT.
Amazing, thank you. And apologies, we should have said that when Nigel plays a film, the panel cannot hear it, but the audience can enjoy it in its full plus also us saying, why can't I hear that? Which is a bit unfortunate as well, because we'd love to ask you more questions about it, but without having the full experience, it's a bit difficult. But still, I will again open up the floor to anyone that would like to say anything.
Well, yeah, it looks amazing.
I just have a quick question about the company. Did you touch on, is it just you, or do you have a team of people working for you? Do you want to sort of?
We are 8 people, yeah, in total.
Yeah. So we started off as 4 back in June last year. Then we've slowly grown. There's been, yeah, we've been lucky enough that we've contacts we've had, experiences.
It's not poker. It's not poker.
Yeah. So yeah, we're now a strong team of 8. We're probably 60% Italian, 70% Italian, 2 English and Polish. So we've got a mix. But yeah, a super talented team. We're really lucky to have them and all the hard work. And so there's a big thank you to them, because I think they are listening. We'll find out tomorrow for feedback.
Derogation.
And follow up to that, if any of our viewers would be keen to work for you either soon or at some stage in the future, what do you look for in a portfolio?
Well, it could go from, because as we said, the 3D is important, because the more you have, obviously the more control and the speed and everything you have from the 3D side, it's really helping you. It will help you. But most importantly is, if you're gonna go technical, it's about matte painting, it's about eye for color, composition, and the depth. I think in an image is the first thing we're looking at. So yeah, colors, depth, and
I think it's also about simplicity as well. We don't want to see overcomplication in an image. I think that you can do so much by keeping it simple and just trying to sort of stick to the basics.
Yeah.
With the composition and the light, not trying to overpower the viewer into telling them exactly what to feel or what to view first. I mean, there's obviously there is the rules of you want to lead the eye through the image, so you need to how you layer your image and build it up.
I think, yeah, wonderful. I mean, that's all fantastic stuff to look for in people, and you know, things that I would say as well. I think, you know, your images look really nice. I think they look incredible, and I can't quite put my finger on it. It's, you know, your darks are lifted. I feel like the midtones are a bit lifted as well, and also the colors are muted. Is this a little bit of the Scandinavian style that you were talking about, Pascal?
No,
I put you on the spot. Sorry, it's a great conversation though.
Yeah,
they don't look like they enjoyed that at all, Josh.
No.
Well, let him answer though, you know. But I think, you know, it's a fantastic opportunity to have a cinematographer comment on what's happening in the visualization, you know, the architectural visualization industry. So
yeah, no, I think it's very exciting. Sorry to butt in again, but I guess I'm allowed to. But I think what was interesting is try and nail down some of these nuances of what we're doing is very interesting, because otherwise you just look like everyone else.
Well, we are talking about color tonight, aren't we? So
yeah. So Seki Smith have got, you know, along with color, they've got a whole other bunch of things nailed, and I think it's really interesting to talk about it. Because otherwise it could be anybody else.
I mean, you've said all that already.
Yeah, it seems that you have a style, and that your clients come to you because you have a style, you know. For cinematographers, it's a bit different, because we are supposed to adopt to be chameleons, to adopt the style that every project needs. And you seem to have a constant style palette, a very, you know, stable framing, stable colors, nothing upsetting, nothing wild, and so but very constrained. So I'm surprised that you have so many Italians, because it's supposed to be explosive. But that must be the Polish side, and I don't know, but you have a definite style, and I think you you nailed it, because people come to you for this style, you know.
Yeah.
We had to pull away ourselves from some of the projects sometimes where we were actually doing the project, and then, as it often happen, there is the client of the client that has a marketing team and they want to push for that. Sometimes we had to say we prefer not to cash, but we need to go away because we're not giving you what we believe, and we wouldn't do the job that you actually are looking for. It's a bit strange to find in the middle of the process they're asking you for the marketing like a luxurious way, because we like, for example, we spend money for the photography on the site, and then, for example, it's been turned to something different.
I quite like that, though, Tommaso, to push back against your clients a little bit, you know, because you know it is difficult to push back against a client that is doing the wrong thing. Is all I'm going to say. My clients might be listening.
I guess that is the reason clients, well, I believe, is why they come to Visualize, is they want the input. You'd hope that our set of skills are to advise and offer something different and try and keep. You want to deliver something unique at the end of the day, and if you're just going to turn into producing the same image after image and it looks the same, well, I know that it's nice. It's obviously good to create a style, and there's a uniqueness to, okay, you can pick out what company that's come from or whatever, have a house style. But I think that, yeah, we need to give our
but architects are very open to listen. Like they sometimes they ask they ask us to give even more about the explanation of why we want to do that, because obviously if they come to us, it's because they don't know how to do it, so they want like your vision, your approach, your idea, and then discuss it.
So I don't want to.
I disagree with that.
Yeah,
I suppose your style.
So I'm going to jump in, and I don't want to upset Fabrice, because I feel like I've upset him. But actually, architects, they're not laymen.
No, you haven't upset me at all.
They're trained in they know what they're doing. They're trained in art, and they're supposed to know exactly what they're doing. They're a good client, even if they're not a good client. They're probably better than you could expect otherwise. So it's quite interesting, the whole idea about pushing back against a client is, for me, it's interesting working internally in a big architectural firm. I know the architects that I work with day in, day out, they have a good aesthetic. They know what they're doing. They know what they're after. And what I find admirable about your work is that you can push what you're trying to do, and it comes out on top, and it gives them something extra. I think that's really quite interesting.
I quite like this, actually, Simon, because this brings us full circle to my first question to Olga, actually, which was about working internally with an architect and then working for a company that supplies that same architect as well. And can you push back? How far can you push back if you think the architect is doing something? If they're not getting the visual, versus the architect that has their own agenda and understands exactly what needs to be said within that visual.
Yeah, I think architects get caught up on the detail, and they care too much about what soffits are doing and where railings end and blah blah blah, and they don't care enough about the feeling the image gives you. And I think that's why
I would completely agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
But we received like when you say thank you, like architects say thank you sometimes to us because we say stop, because if we continue to change that detail, we're losing time to actually developing the image, and they're not going to deliver the best image, because we also try to explain that the more time we spend on the 3D updating model, changing that, it's time taken away from the artistic production of the images.
But at the same time, you don't understand what is driving that. What seems to you to be a minuscule change could be a make or break within meeting the requirements of the competition entry or something. You know, like, and sometimes that's not always communicated as well. You know, you think, why are we doing this?
Yeah, well, we start, I think sometimes we start weeks before to have a conversation with the architects. Where are you at with the model? Where are you at with that? We have stack photography. Because obviously you get better projects if you work with competition sometimes, because there also you have more possibilities to push the atmosphere, to push for the mood, the narrative and everything. Obviously competition brings a different time scale and a different approach from the architect, because everything is developing while you are doing the images as well. So you get better projects, a bit more hard way to work throughout the project, the production. And it's also up to us to understand where to, the workflow changes, of course, because you need to understand what they're doing. If they're still developing, we prefer to stop the project. In terms of the architecture, we develop everything else. We go on the side, we take photography, we build the scene, and just when the building is ready, we always prefer, like we say to them, we prefer to wait 2 days and not working on the model rather than importing like a RAF, like a work in progress model that you know you're going to be changing, and now we're going to be re-importing it, spending time
making competition stuff changes. You know, it just keeps on coming at you. You know.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a hard job because we always have this conversation that our job is really hard because we leave others' deadlines all the time. So an architect has a project that you start very relaxed, you have time, and then you leave the very last phase of that project under pressure. We leave weekly 2-3 deadlines of different projects, so we're always.
Yeah, Tommaso, I absolutely love this. Yeah, I always had this. You know, I'm constantly at 5 minutes to midnight. You know, you just go from one deadline onto the other, and you know, someone will come to you and they'll say, you know what, we've just got to get this one done. Tomorrow you can relax. But you know, as a visualizer, our job is, you know, it's always the doomsday clock.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump in here.
Josh, you're 100% correct. I love that, Josh. That's a very good sentiment. Very good.
The last job I did, the deadline was on a Friday, and on Thursday night I got an entire new Revit model.
Oh.
And on Saturday, I delivered a 7,000 frames 4K video.
Wow.
That was presented on Sunday, and they were very happy.
But how much? But Fabrice, so not to be
in Unreal, of course, for anybody who was wondering.
No, I figured that. But I mean, how much of that time saving was done in Unreal versus offline rendering, and how much of your time was spent sort of updating their model, correcting their model? Because
the time.
The one thing, I mean, Fabrice you've been to my office and you've given us training, and we were all super excited about it. We loved it. I think the issue that we have is that we don't spend any time waiting for renders, or the big backlog we have is adjusting stuff to the architect's wishes. I think that's what we do.
If I can jump in there, actually, like I'm going a little bit.
We're going to go all night.
Well, you know, I tell you what, like, you know, the show's finished. We've done all the stuff we're going to do, but I think we could just keep chatting as much as we like.
I agree.
Nigel looks really keen to play the outro.
No, the guy
that play the outro. Nigel,
just say it.
Before I get sidetracked, one of the things about Unreal Engine is that I am now finding myself on set with people that think, oh, okay, well, it's real time, so we can just move some stuff around, and then, you know, we'll just carry on doing the shoot, you know. And it's like, you know, within virtual production, and the reality is no, it's not real time. Rendering is real time, but setting stuff up is not real time, and there seems to be this real disconnect about, you know, what you can do real time versus what you need to plan, you know. Like, you know, this stuff's you need to move stuff into the pre-production rather than on the post-production, which I think I've bagged on about that previously.
Yeah, I mean, I think what in our discussions with Pascal, the application for Unreal Engine is kind of really more about previs than, producing final stuff just yet. I mean, the Mandalorian's really showing that it is working, well, at least for them, but they've got obviously huge teams just outputting
But
things
that
over
is
and
all
over again.
pre-production though, so that they can be there doing that on set and making it fantastic. It's not about being on set and just making it up as you go along.
And also, it's a totally different budget, Fabrice. So possibly, if a film studio spends, I don't know, 100 grand on pre-production animation, that's like 10 times more than an architectural studio could spend on their visualizations. It's to do with how much it costs and how good it is.
Yeah.
So Fabrice's work is incredible, and Fabrice came into HB and he got us so fired up. We were so excited about everything he did, and then we looked at what he was doing, and we thought, right, we're going to do this, and then we were like, fuck me, we've got no time to do it. We don't have time to learn this new software. And as evangelical as Fabrice can be, and the guy is amazing at that kind of stuff, but it's easy just to pump stuff out in V-Ray or Corona, and it's going to get done. And this it's just this big step that takes visualization from where we are today to where we will be in another 10 years time. All right, and I know I talked about it in hang on, I'm sorry, that's my mum.
Hello, Simon.
Hello.
Hey, Simon's mum.
Hello. Hello, nice to see you. I hope Simon's behaving.
Oh my gosh, I'm in so much trouble now. She's like, why are you shouting to people on the internet? That's incredible. But I think my point is that there's this point where visualization, we're right at it, and I really tried to express my feelings last month and got a little bit of hopefully people realize what I was trying to do. But it's so exciting right now what Fabrice is doing with the work that he showed today compared to the work that Seki Smith are doing. I mean, imagine if Seki Smith can put that nuance into what they're doing into something that's real time. It's just, it could just be absolutely incredible. And everyone that's watching this right now is right there. They're able to do it. I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying to people. I'm like, you're doing the right thing.
I mean,
Anybody who's interested in this stuff.
Got to completely agree. I mean, the stuff we're doing with Unreal Engine at the moment is, it's incredible.
Someone on the chat has brought up Project Lavina as well by Chaos Group, which we use all the time. And it's just as a V-Ray studio, for us, that's giving us a real immediate interaction with our model. And it's similar to, if you like, how you might explore an Unreal Engine project, but there's no importing time. You just bringing it straight in, and we're playing around with lighting. We're sharing that every day with clients, and we're doing Zoom real-time meetings.
And to just pick up on what the guys were showing again, those little, how do you call them? Those time lapses you do?
Like a build-up. Yeah.
Well, yeah, with the sound and everything, I think that's just absolutely. We're just beginning to explore these kind of.
That's the cinematograph. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, cinematograph. Yeah, with
playing on sound. I would love to hear Pascal's take on the cinematograph actually, because in the architecture world, this thing has taken off recently, where you can picture the 3 to 5 second cinematograph, which might have the sun moving position, or an animated element moving, like water or something like this, and you know, it's like an enhanced image, and it's a technique that's been around been around since the beginning of film, really. And I'd love to hear what Pascal thinks about.
And also,
it's a new way. There's a new wave going on in architectural visualization. I'd love to hear.
And if Olga as well, if you guys do any of those after.
Oh yeah, no, really, it introduces time, you know, and not only real time, but also accelerated time, like in your time lapses. So you really feel like how the people will live the architecture. So it's really interesting, and the shadows and movements are so well coordinated. But also the format seems to be like an old movie, you know. It's sort of between Jacques Tati and the first movies of the cinema, like Frères Lumière, and also a top-notch, you know, high-end previs of architecture. So it's a very mind-blowing mix, and always with your unique style. So I'm really I'm blown away. Yes.
Thank you.
Olga, Pascal, you have none of the you know, offensive Parisian French that I expect from French people.
He's not French. He's not French.
Thank you. Oh, you're not French.
I'm from Switzerland, but I have a very heavy French accent because I'm from the French part of Switzerland.
I must apologize. I didn't know.
No, I'm part French, so you can go ahead.
So yeah, no, I was wondering, Olga, if you guys do any of those animated stills or.
Yeah, we do actually do a lot of cinematographs and also animated work as well. So this is something that we're exploring now too with our innovation workflow. So probably if you go on our website, there is a few there. And also when I was presenting at D2 with my colleague Loz, we also shared a video of like our most recent animated work. So we do a lot of work with that, and that's such a great medium. Like there are so many new things in it that you can describe the architecture and show the project in a very creative way that is maybe not always possible with a still image as well.
Well, in terms of sales, videos sell better than, you know, still images. So.
Yeah, exactly. And social media as well, that these cinemagraphs are very useful for that too, for promotion of the project.
Fabrice and me were talking about doing a sort of a handheld movie, you know, close to the building, the future building, but in the street with people passing by, and quick movements, and for example reflections in you know, wet floors, passerbys going through wet floors, reflecting the building, you know, and everything very lively, almost the opposite of the cinemagraph we just saw. But some sort of it's normal. The building already exists since, for example, 5 years. Here is how people live around it and in it, with a handheld camera, you know, more lively than just some perfect 3D shots. And that would be real time also. So we are working on that with Fabrice.
Yeah, I think we're all getting into lockdown now, aren't we? So it'll be like handheld running while the cops are chasing us now.
Exactly.
Where's Simon gone?
He's probably going to check on his mum.
Sulking.
Alex Morris wants to know if he's finished the bottle.
He's going to get another one.
He's getting close. He's getting close.
I think so. Cool.
Well, perhaps have we?
So we could be. There's some graphic card questions. Anyone want to take that? No one wants to talk technical stuff now.
What's a graphic card question?
The RTX 6000 card.
No.
Oh, graphics cards. Oh, okay. Yeah, who gives a fuck about graphics cards? Honestly.
We will when
settings, or you know, or
No,
numbers.
it's a AMD card. I don't know. I
No.
don't know what those AMD.
The AMD cards are apparently fucking amazing, but they don't have RT cores, so you can't do ray tracing in Unreal.
We'll get Jamie and we'll get NVIDIA on, and we can do a head to
You
head.
know what? That's a great idea.
It's an AMD. Oh, is Jamie from AMD?
Jamie's from AMD.
Cool.
They can go head to head, and they can geek off.
AMD's
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Cheaper and more powerful, but it doesn't have everything that you need, unless it has what you need. So,
so I would just like to remind everybody, everyone's starting to get a little moany about their work. We all make pictures for a living. That's
Isn't
all
that cool?
we do. It's like, you think of all your friends who do serious jobs, but we make pictures for a living that we.
How lucky are we?
We all love. That's why we do it, and we all have a little moan about it. But end of the day, you know, what's the difference between our pictures and the ones that are on your children's ones on the fridge?
So basically, after the apocalypse, we have no use in the world. Thanks, Nigel. That's terrible.
No, but it's age and experience.
I can make beer and bread.
So would you?
Yeah.
So those with kids,
come stay.
Would you encourage your children to go into the visualization or the computer graphics industry?
Well, okay, but we're not only about visualization; we're VFX and everything, aren't we?
That's why I called it computer graphics.
I'm just gonna say that if ever one of my children said they wanted to be an architect, I would probably send them to a different school. Especially reading this Guardian article about architects. Yeah. Anyway,
I've tried, and mine.
I don't want to into that stuff so much. You know?
Mine are teenagers, and
you do.
mine have teenagers, and they've said, "I'll do anything but what you do."
All I can see of you is like a computer gamer's chair, some yellow glass.
I was like, I'll teach you Unreal. You can make games and stuff, and they're like.
So I'd like to put a positive spin on this, and if I can, and I would say, you know, my sons know what I do, and they know I love my job. And my job is incredible. You know, for the past 20 years. You know, not every morning, but most mornings I wake up and I can't wait to do it. It's an incredible job. It's good fun. It has this beautiful mix of technical ability.
Is your boss listening to you?
No, they're not there. It's computer geekery. It involves a whole bunch of artistry, and I love it. And I would say, you know what? I've been extremely lucky that I was born at the right point where I could make this my career, and I very much hope that I can make it my career for the next 15 years as well. But
I'm sorry, Simon, I'm still going to pitch artist, scientist, and astronaut to my kids.
Well, no, I think so. But I think it's very important to give kids something to, you know what, you should just be an accountant or.
Well, I tell you, that's a really interesting thing, because I'm not getting any younger, and if one of my kids was like, you know, a stock market wizard that could just, you know, sort me out for the rest of my life, I would not have a problem with that.
No, I wouldn't either. But at the same time, I don't want my youngest son to become a chiropodist just because it pays well. You know, if you're going to fuck
Here's a
around
follow-up to that. If next week you had to change career, what would you do?
Me?
Anyone?
I'd be a plumber.
It's a good job.
So I mean, I'm very lucky. So I work for a big firm called Hawkins Brown, and they've very generously given every employee access to LinkedIn Learning's courses, and I've narrowed down on plumbing. I think plumbing is and that would be good for me. Now I've got the patience and the technical skills for it. But to take a serious note, I don't know. I'm not sure what else I don't know. I don't want to do anything else. I love this job.
I've been doing this forever, for 30 years now almost, and I couldn't think of anything else. I have thinking of maybe if I move back to New Zealand, maybe I'll start a lawn mowing business or repairing lawnmowers because everybody has lawns.
Yeah.
Nigel, that's what we were doing in our teenage years. Why do you
Well, there you go.
Why do you want to go back to mowing lawns?
What
I
else?
think what's
Everyone's
exciting
so
about
damn talented. How can you compete?
You know what?
Well,
I think
you can. Well, I'm going to butt in and try and get over everyone else. But I think the way you can compete is to be a good person to work with.
Correct.
And it doesn't matter how talented you are. You could do amazing work.
That's a lovely answer, Simon. If I could do anything else, I would just be a good person to work with.
Yeah,
and I think
it makes your job easy. Just be a good person to work with. You know, you might be slightly underskilled compared to other people who do amazing work. Doesn't matter.
I'd love to hear some answers to that question from some of the younger people on the panel tonight.
I agree.
Is he talking to me?
My advice is don't worry about how good your work is.
He's talking to me. He's talking to me, aren't you? Yeah, right.
Yes.
Tom,
in the younger panel.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
So Tom has made a very rare appearance here now, but Tom is doing a lot of work with me, with HB, and he's doing some incredible projects with HB. And the reason why he's doing that is not because he's shit hot. It's because there's that. But it's also because he's a nice person to work with. And you can
Godfathers for you.
Tom, you can put that quote on your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Not because he's shit hot.
Yeah.
Tom is shit hot. Tom is shit hot at his job. He really is. But also, he's very easy to get along with, and that counts for so much.
Please hear from the younger people on the panel about what they would do if they chose something else.
Well, I keep getting interrupted. I'm not getting poopy about this, but I'm
going to put him on mute.
You know, I did promise to create chaos half an hour later. All I'm saying is that, you know, Tom has been doing this long enough that he can get on with a client and he can make it work. This is the reason why Seki Smith is so successful at what they do. It's not because their images
well,
are
that's also
incredible.
why Tom is so successful at what he does as well. But seriously, Simon, you're going to end up with a horse head in your bed.
It's not because, you know, it's not because they're just particularly more talented than anyone else. It's because they know exactly what their client wants and they know how to get along with them. And that's the one thing I would say. It doesn't matter if you're talking about visualization or anything else. Yeah, that's how you're successful in life. You know, you're a nice person to deal with, and you give the client what they want. It's pretty easy. You guys at Seki Smith, you've figured this out. You know, you've clocked what the clients want. You've nailed that, and then hopefully, I don't want to badmouth anyone you've ever used to work with, but he got that wrong. He was difficult to work with. That's why
we're going into insinuations here.
There's a lot in building good relationships with the clients. I agree with you. I think it's what at the end of the day, the client is the one that's funding us, and obviously we want to. It's a collaboration always, and it's about understanding what they want, what they want to get out of it, and we don't work against it. I know we mentioned that we like to push back, but we're obviously going to do that with the respect and make sure that we give them our input, and obviously we can do that so far. And then obviously if the client obviously has their own vision, that's obviously we have to respect that way, and we just give our ideas, and in building them relationships, that's what we pride ourselves on trying to do with clients, like current, old, new, whatever it may be.
Yeah, but exactly, and I'm going to completely beat around the bush here, but there are people who are incredibly talented and had an incredible vision, but oh my God, put them in front of a client and the client will go mad. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work with the client, and doesn't work.
You're talking about me now, Fabio.
No, Josh, I'm not talking about you at all. No.
Not at all.
I quite like this. This is like, you know, we've now got the after hours of the meetup going on.
And
This is usually the discussion at the pub afterwards, isn't it?
The audience is encouraging us to continue, which is dangerous.
No, I think that's great.
The audience is asking how Simon's getting on with that bottle.
All right, so I'm here. I've got
Two empty
I'm
glasses.
on number 2.
Okay.
I'm on number 2.
We were betting 3.
Yeah, I thought 3.
I thought 3 or 4.
That's number 3.
3 or 4.
I don't think I'm going to make that. I'm gonna put that aside.
I would like
That
to
one's
see
probably
that.
going to go down the toilet. I don't know.
You've done a great job.
Olga, how are you doing in this bunch of boys conversation?
Yeah, I'm doing very
all right?
well, thank you. Yeah, just listening to what you're
I think-
saying.
Why don't you jump on Josh's question he had earlier before Simon jumps in again?
Which question was that?
Yeah.
Being young, working in the industry.
Yeah, I think so. The question was the alternative career if you had to change your job next week.
Let's
was
start
it?
with that. You've
Okay, yeah, I
been
think
around a bit, haven't you? But mainly because you started as an interior architect, is that correct?
yes. So I think this year would have been like my 10th year or something, like around 10 years of this creative work that I'm doing. And I guess that kind of answers your question. Like, if I was to change jobs like tomorrow, probably I would like that to be something creative still, because the one aspect I really enjoy about being an artist is that we get to be very creative. We get to make something, we get to produce artwork and do a lot of like the artistic work and like representing the architecture the way we see it and the way how it tells the story behind it and gives like a message about the building, how you use it. Like, this is very specific in our job. So I guess yeah, for me personally, that would be something still that would allow me to be creative, because that's just the kind of person I am. And on a less serious note, probably I'll be dog trainer or dog walker, something in
That's
these
good.
lines.
Good.
I love anything to do with dogs on this show. I always love.
Yeah.
Let's train and walk dogs as much as possible.
Olga, let me ask another question, because you at work look after the student side of things, and you've got that whole student. How would I describe it? What's your job title? Your job title is the senior of cultural development.
Yes, so that is also to do with the summer placement program that we have at Hayes Davidson, and a lot of people from the team are involved. Myself and my colleague Sam, we are overseeing this project, and yeah, so we have 8-week learning program that consists of 2 weeks of in-house project where we teach the software, we teach the workflow for our studio, we teach like the general image creation side of things, and then the rest of the 6 weeks the students are working on live projects with very closely with art directors and our senior artists. So it's yeah, so that is the summer placement
These students that you're bringing in, what are their backgrounds? Are they studying games? Are they studying architecture? Where are you finding them? And when they arrive, what is their, if you like, their outlook or thought of, because I'm sure they don't know anything about the visualization industry, and are they all wanting to use tools such as Unreal Engine, or I mean, what's that sort of induction process like?
So what we are looking for in the people that we accept for summer placement is this artistic flair, like this understanding of how you represent architecture visually. And yeah, so we don't need someone that's got experience or even knows a lot about like software and how to do those things, because these are all the skills that you can learn. And also, even if you do know some sort of software, the skills are very transferable to whatever particular studio is using. In our case, that's 3ds Max and Corona mainly. But as I mentioned before, we also experiment with other software and rendering engines. So what we created over the years is a really good relationship with different UK universities, different like backgrounds as well. So it might be an architecture university, it might be more like CGI based university, or even VFX one as well. So the backgrounds are all very different, and as long as you are passionate about creating beautiful imagery, then there's a good chance you'll be accepted for our program. And as for your another question about different programs, different like Unreal Engine, whatnot, for this one, we also have R&D days that we spend 1 day a week during the six weeks on a different topics where we explore different things. So it could be photo montage, or it could be animation, it could be more interactive stuff as well. So it depends on what the appetite is of the particular year of the summer placement. We do have very talented artists that are helping out with teaching those more specific bits as well. And as I mentioned, they are working on live studio projects. So depending on what we have in the pipeline, it might be different things that they can produce. Some of the stuff are on our Instagram page for Hayes Davidson that was produced last year. So if anyone is more curious, I would recommend checking that out, and what was the final produce of our last year's students. And obviously this year was very different. What we did this year was completely remote. So we literally just finished our HD portfolio crits. So we selected 12 students from all different applications that we got for the portfolio crit. And we had one-on-one sessions with them, hour long, with 2 of our artists from the studio. And we gave some advice on how to best represent your work. And we had various people, from architects to CGI artists through VFX students as well. So we were discussing different media as well. And that kind of brings me back into the animated work that we do, because that gives you such a different perspective on how you can represent something, be it the building or like your own work and skill set. So yeah, we look at different stuff. And then we also did the HD webinar earlier in the year, where we invited about 20 or 30 people, and we did an introduction to architectural visualization, a couple of hours long session that was followed by discussion between the students and the artists in our studio, which was really cool to have, because it was like in the middle of lockdown, so it kept the spirits up as well.
And we need a lot of that. Great. That's good. I think a lot of what we've talked about, all the presentation tonight, very informative. Hopefully we're encouraging people into the industry. I know Nikos, your schools, your teachings, you're now getting involved in Denmark as well. I'm pleased to see that at
yeah, I'm pleased as well. That's a great opportunity, actually. I'm glad they're doing that. It's a great idea. They cannot travel, but they're going to have other people getting inspired, the students. I think it's a great idea.
Well, we all have that responsibility to teach another generation, and like what Fabrice is doing, it completely is independent of software, and it's all about just doing artwork as fast as possible, no matter what tools you're using.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd be a teacher.
You're a very good teacher.
Oh, thank you, Nigel. No, I think you're right though, because even like some of the stuff we were talking about with Pascal, like we were talking about the opening of the movie Rear Window by Hitchcock. Okay, that first camera sequence is just amazing, because it gives you this whole, it gives you everything you need to know in order to start the story in just one camera move. And it's Hitchcock. And I don't know, maybe kids are just not going to watch Hitchcock, you know? And they're not going to, some kids who are teenagers now, maybe they're never going to even ever going to come across
They are though, Fabrice.
I'm sorry, Fabrice, I have to stop you there. My kids are bloody well going to watch Hitchcock.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, they you know, stuff like that gets lost. Who, like, you know, Michael Jackson's dead now. Who listens to Michael Jackson? Anyway, my point is that it's our, yeah, I agree with Nigel. It's our responsibility to pick up some of this stuff and pass them on, because some of it's going to get lost. There you go.
Guys, we're going to need to interject. So we're going to have to shoot.
Yeah,
great.
You are both at work still, right?
Yeah, so we've got to do this.
Oh my god!
Oh gosh.
As well. So we're just going to wrap up a few things, and then that's the thing I don't miss. I do miss. Yeah.
So listen, thank you
Happy
for
lockdown.
taking time out of moving IT equipment and moving. Hopefully, it's only for a month, and you're going to have to come 2nd of December. You're going to have to be moving it all back again.
I know. Yeah, need to work on the weights.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great presentation.
Joshua,
thank you.
Pascal, thank you so much for the presentation tonight.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
That was amazing.
All the talks as well. It's great, Pascal, Fabrice, and Nikos. Thank you all.
Thank
you.
Thanks to you
look
guys.
forward to seeing you in the flesh, hopefully next year.
Yeah, with a beer. That sounds good.
Pascal's got the whiskey.
Oh, Japanese one. Nice. He knows.
Right, we're going to keep going for a little bit, maybe, if you want, or I can hit the button.
I have to
I
go.
want to hear about Pascal's whiskey.
Okay, we can.
I have to go. I have to finish I have to finish the bottle.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
See you guys.
It was only about passion. That was really great. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye,
Thanks,
Pascal.
Pascal.
Bye, everyone. Play the outro, Nigel.
Okay, that's it. Right.
Cool.
So
Play the outro, but we're staying on. I'm up for
we
it.
can stay on, but I'm going to just do the right. So it's.
I've got a beer still, so I'm happy to
Shut up,
sit
I'm
here.
trying to do the.
I just had a new beer, so.
So we've got to November.
Yeah.
None of us actually thought we'd get to November and still be doing this online. But
hey Nigel, why don't you send the Zoom link to the 41 people that are still listening and see if anyone in the conversation.
The 41 who aren't still listening, I think. Zap, are you about to start your live?
Yeah, we are gonna, like, after we finish here, we're gonna pitch
I think
Zap's live.
let's all give Zap a what theme should he kick off with tonight? I think we've had a bit of Wes Anderson, we've had some David Lynch. You know, there's what
I think Wes Anderson should be the thing for Zap tonight, definitely.
Okay, Zap, can you do that
following
for us?
on from Nikos.
I'll come on and join you in a minute.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah.
There you go. He's in.
Mike Walker, I think, is
So-
the other thing, but that might be a bit too obtuse for.
No, well, we can go and join him later. Are we going to do December? It's highly likely we're going to follow Simon's suit and have a bit of a. We'll all have to make a cocktail or something for December, but.
I think December's a bit difficult, isn't it? Because normally we would have a massive party and you know, in a venue and all get shit faced together.
I think. Let me check the date.
Isn't that what we normally do?
Well, we'll inform everyone. We'll probably do something. We've got a very, very busy 3D December, as we mentioned at the top of the show, with following day, we've got State of Art, and then we've got D2 the following week. So it's get used to us lot talking online.
I think
that's it.
But Nigel, I think the end of the UK lockdown is the 2nd of December, no? Which is a Wednesday, which is
no, that's but so we're
we'll
coming
be
out
broadcasting from Truckles.
We'll be broadcasting from Truckles, and yeah. Anyway, well, let me.
Well, I think I actually think that none of us are idiot enough to. We're not like the Conservative government, are we? We're not like going to think that everything just disappears on the 2nd of December, are we?
No.
So we will be doing the same thing again in December.
Possibly. Right. I'm going to say good night to our audience, panelists, and people stay on the line. Let's say goodbye to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks for the
it's been a very long
in the
show.
chat.
Thanks everyone for
It's really cool.
People stay late. That's amazing.
So good night, and we'll see you in December.
See you next month.